Let's do it.
Indecisive Cinema. What is it? What episode
Holy
is this?
shit.
Is this 36? I think it's 36.
It
That's
is
what I have
36.
written on my notes.
Yeah,
but
no, it's 36.
it's
Because I just
wrong-
saw the thing that they sent this morning saying, you haven't posted in a while. And I was like, that was episode 35. So, yes.
When
36.
did we release that? When did we record that? It was at least a month. It was before Thanksgiving. So
It was right before Thanksgiving.
So it's
It was
probably
the
right
week
at a month
before
ago.
Yeah. Because the kids were there. So we did it while they were sleeping.
what's new with you?
Oh, yeah. Well, nothing much, holidays. We're getting ready for my family's coming from New York, and so I'm excited about that. And I'm getting married on December 30th.
Yeah, you are. Which I don't think was planned until after we recorded last.
It's funny because my memories on Facebook, it popped up a thing that says we're getting married because we were going to do a Disney wedding for her.
Oh, interesting.
And then, me and my daughter, because, Gloriana was so excited, and we looked it up like back in May, and it was like craziness. It was
like a fortune.
It was like about $4,000, and that's outside of everything we would just spend. It's like
that's just for the venue.
Yeah, for the venue. So we were like, yeah, no. So we were talking about it after Disney. We were like, so what are we going to do? And she was like, well, why don't we do it when your family's here so then we can kill two birds with one stone because no one's going to fly up for it. I shouldn't say they wouldn't, but I don't want no one to fly up for that. So, we're not doing like, the Royals. It's literally we're going down to the courthouse. We're going to do it there, and then we're going to meet afterward. I still haven't decided. It's going to either be a Chinese buffet, an Indian buffet, or what do you play? It's, oh my God, Golden Corral type of thing.
Golden Corral.
And literally, I told her, we're going to post it up too. Like everyone who comes, you're paying for yourself. We ain't ready to see it. We're just going to chill, hang out.
Nobody's expecting that.
Yeah. No. And I understand. I originally, when she wrote the first one, we had to delete it because like Anesha, she went to edit and she deleted the thing.
Yeah.
So you were the first one who alerted me. I was like, what are you talking about? And then I looked on, I said, what the? But yeah, so we originally said there that, whoever comes, but we're just going to wait till, I got to talk to my sister. My sister's a vegetarian. Not sure, and then I'm pretty sure it's not going to be at the Chinese buffet, so most likely it might be at Golden Corral or the Indian. The Indian's more expensive, but being that they're vegetarian, they have to have those options. So once I talk to her and we get on the same page, I'll put it on the thing, let everyone know, where to go.
All of our listeners, are invited.
I know everybody who's listening to
all the 3 people.
They're like, what? Oh, yeah, I'm coming, bro. But yeah, so that's what How about you, brother?
Well, we're. I guess we have some news. We're recording in a different place.
That's right. I
don't know if you can hear it in the recording, but
I should sit up right.
It's we over Thanksgiving break we moved my company into a small office just to kind of make everything a little more professional, and because we've been operating out of our houses forever, and my business partner, I've told you this, but he, the
listeners don't know this.
This is true, yeah. The 3 people, in case you're wondering, he acquired him and his dad acquired a hospice company because they've been working in the medical industry for a while, and they needed office space for that company, and so they moved into a suite. We are subleasing a room in that suite, so. Got a little office, which is kind of nice. It's hot as fuck, but it's starting to feel a little more normal. When we first walked in, though, I was just like, "Oh, it's."
Well, we've been doing this for a long time in my place, and we
always have to turn off the AC.
We had to put off the AC, and we had even here, even if we paid the $45 an hour AC.
Yeah, apparently it's $45 an hour for.
Would still hear it though? Would it be nicer?
No, you can't hear it. You may hear it occasionally, but it would be a lot nice. Quieter.
Yeah.
Here.
So well.
But
I listen. We sweat in my house. We'll sweat here for a little bit.
It's.
We got nice old ice cold water.
We got water. We're good. We're doing all right.
Nestle Pure Life, not a sponsor.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, we're in a different space, at least for now. And it'll be good for the business, though.
Yeah, definitely. This is cool. I like this. And then you're in town. You're close by.
Yeah. The spot's great. So we're excited about it. Right by NASA. Yeah. So.
And before we go on to this big list, I like your shirt. I like that Letterkenny shirt.
Oh yeah, I have a Letterkenny Shamrock shirt. I think I ordered it on Amazon. I want to say.
Oh, Amazon. Okay, I thought maybe
but I'm not sure.
Like a cult site or geek site.
It may have been from Letterkenny's site though. I think it's one of their official merch. I think it's off
Did
there.
you see season 7? I know we didn't get into that.
I always forget. I'm not 100% sure which season.
7 is the newest one. That one came out like a month or 2 ago.
I'm not. So I remember I wrote it. I put it down on my to-dos to watch that, and then I ended up I think I'd already seen it, but I'm not 100% sure.
Interesting. Yeah.
I'm not. I don't know where. I've seen at
Well, I
least
know
6.
you said you bought all the seasons, and then
Yeah.
I was like, maybe did they?
And I want to say I bought 7, thinking that it was the new one that I hadn't seen, and it was just the one that I had already seen on Hulu. So I'm not. Maybe they just released the DVD of it, and I had seen. I'm not sure because the release schedule for that show is so strange.
Yeah, it's very far apart.
I'll take a look this week though, or maybe even today, and see if I'm so behind on shows because Marissa and I have been watching Curb Your Enthusiasm because she loves that show, which is great.
It's a great show.
And so we're watching. We're like 4 seasons into that, but I've watched like 3 episodes of Mandalorian, which is actually very good.
Yeah, no spoilers, guys. I haven't got my Disney Plus yet. We were supposed to get it yesterday, but we've been cleaning the house
We're
for my
mooching
family.
off of other people's Disney Pluses. But yeah, I haven't watched The Mandalorian all the way through. I haven't watched Watchmen yet. I haven't.
Oh my God!
There's so many fucking. There's just.
I know. We don't only do film, but if you were to put TV shows, that's number one. That is simply one of the greatest. And I hate it because Breaking Bad is I think on my number one now. But I mean, The Watchmen is just consistently. It's like the comic book. Every episode, every issue, it ends. You're like, holy shit! I want to see the next issue. Yeah. It's the series does that, and it's amazing. And even though the last. I was going to say episode threw me off with the way.
I haven't even seen the show. So.
Well, I'm just we've seen the film, and I say to myself, they couldn't pay the actors like a couple of bucks to reprise their roles. So Dr. Manhattan is a big major character, and they picked another actor, and it's very off-putting.
Gotcha. Yeah,
it's off-putting. But anyway, that's
it is what it is.
Yeah, amen.
But yeah, I need to see that. There's so many things I need to see. I mean, there's just the list is, I can't even catch up. There's no end to the list of. That's
what me and Rhonda says, are we going to watch this show? And I said, yeah, after this list of shows that we have.
Everybody tells you to watch shows, and it's like, there's some ones that I definitely want to see that I don't even have time for, let alone all the ones that people are recommending. I'm like, oh, well, I mean, it just isn't meant to be. It's so hard to commit to 10 hours of television.
Yeah.
Period.
I agree with you. I mean, and I know you're busy. I mean, me, after I come home from work, me and Rhonda have about 2 hours to watch TV before she goes to bed. And that's what we do. We got like maybe knock out 2 episodes of a series. Yeah. So it's like, if it's an HBO series, like after 2 weeks, you're done. But if it's like a regular TV show series, which is 22 episodes, that can take like a month or two, and it's daunting. Yeah. But yeah.
Well, and then like again, we're watching through Curb, and then we're probably going to watch through Seinfeld. She hasn't seen that.
That's what she said too. She goes, "Oh, we should see Seinfeld," and I was like, "Well, that's like 9 seasons."
It is. Yeah.
so yeah.
But it'll be worth it. She hasn't seen it, so it'll be fun.
Also, Marissa hasn't seen it.
No, and her favorite show is Arrested Development. So she loves she likes all the same stuff. So it'll be good. I think she'll like it a lot. Yeah. She loves Curb. So
yeah, if she loves Curb, she's gonna love Seinfeld.
I would assume so, but I don't know though, because it would be hard to watch Curb first and then go back to Seinfeld though, because it's a sitcom.
And I was just thinking, I said and then it's like it's New York based and all that, and she's not from New York, but I mean, you should start.
I just mean more like mostly just how like Curb is like uncensored. And so, like, I feel like that could be challenging.
But the Larry David episodes of Seinfeld are the most raunchiest and darkest ones.
True.
So she would dig that about it. Because
I think she'll like it. I just don't know if she'll like it as much as
Curb.
Curb.
By Larry David, she'll be like, oh, yeah, this is going to be a good one.
And she knows that he's the one that, because Curb is all about the fact that he plays himself in it. So. But yeah, that show is just incredible. I love Curb. Anyway, that's kind of what I've been doing as far as like shows go lately. Yeah. I mean, I haven't really, we've got a couple movies. I've seen 3 or 4 movies on this list.
Yeah, let's look at this list, bro.
And then we're going to do top 10 films of this year and the decade.
Yes.
We're closing out 2019, and we may not record before the end of the year. I wanted to record before if we could.
No, but
just because of the holidays and stuff.
Next week I'm definitely cleaning the house.
And who knows? There's not that much stuff. I mean, there's like 1917's coming out, which looks incredible.
Which I can't wait to see.
And there's a few other releases. Star Wars. There'll be stuff to talk about.
Yeah, Rise of Skywalker comes out.
We may be able to do one like first week of January or something. But realistically, I wanted to get the top 10s out before the end of the year because it's something I never do usually.
This show is perfectly timed, I say.
But because we're recording this. This is December 15th. 2019, so it's like 80 degrees outside and in here. But
there's a little fact, even though everyone's been talking about Blade Runner's past, that date of Blade Runner.
Oh, that's true.
It was December 9th or 8th of 2019.
When everybody remembers that all that stuff's just fiction, so it doesn't really matter.
It's like when Back to the Future came, when October 2015 passed, we're like, oh my God, we just lived Back to the Future time. So yeah.
Oh, the other thing, we broke 500 listens. We've been doing this show forever, and we've never had any kind of substantial viewers or listeners, obviously. which is not why we do this. It doesn't really matter.
No, we do it for us.
But the only reason I mentioned this is because recently, like in the past, so we had like for the first year we've done this show, we had like 200 total listens or something. And then last month we shot up like 300 listens. And I don't know if it's actually because people are listening or if it's just because the algorithm broke. Who knows? Like it's hard to know.
Why do you
we use audio.
You're like the worst critic on the show. I think it's like I believe that people listening because now podcasts are like people.
I mean, I hope that people listen. I mean, that'd be great. But I mean, it's not why we do it again because it's more just like an outlet.
But I'm pretty sure that there are
on.
people listening. Oh, these guys are kind of funny and not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. Fucking losers over here.
What are they doing out in Texas?
But yeah, other than that, there wasn't a whole lot of news. I'm trying to think of anything. Yeah, I mean, that pretty much sums up what we moved into the office. That took like 2 or 3 weeks.
Rhonda's obsessed with the algorithms of stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, we got some more listens and we're
like that
recording in a new space. So all fun things.
Yes, and I feel like we're special. We're moving on up.
I know. Moving on up in the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean that's kind of that catches you up on what's been going on.
Yeah,
I guess we can now. Carlos's phone is still on.
Yeah, I forgot. Let me turn off my sound.
Penalty.
There we go. High penalty. That's technical foul.
Because we've got some pretty damn good movies to talk about. I don't know if Countdown is any good. But
but everything else is rocking. Yeah, I'm looking at this list.
And even just the stuff that we have that you're revisiting or from previous years. Like Black Swan and Black Klansman.
Yeah, Crazy Rich Asians and Black Klansman last year's big movies, and then Black Swan's from 10 years ago.
And then we get to talk about lists, which is my favorite time of year because I love lists.
Me too, bro.
So we're doing top 10 films of 2019 and of the decade. So that'll be fun. Well, let's start out with I don't know. It's hard to start out with something this good because it's like I feel like I like to work up to it.
Yeah.
Jojo Rabbit is fantastic. I really love this movie.
I'm jealous because I want to see that movie so bad.
And for those who don't know, the plot of Jojo Rabbit, it's directed by Taika Waititi. I think that's how you pronounce it, right?
Yeah.
Who I'm a huge fan of.
Thor Ragnarok, We're in the Shadows. Yeah.
Thor, we watched, Marissa and I watched What We Do in the Shadows recently. She absolutely loved that. That movie is so good. Sorry, my phone's going off. I don't know if anybody can
Wildebeest.
Hunt for the Wildebeest
which I had on my top 10 of the decade.
I love that movie. Spoilers for your list.
No, I said I had. I took it off.
You took it off. Oh, interesting. That's fair. I mean, that
movie
it
is, but it's like
really
there
amazing.
was a lot of movies of the decade. I mean, I had to fight myself. Yeah.
Thankfully, I had most of my top. We'll get to that later. Thankfully, I had most of my top 10 lists from the previous years because I keep them all on the same note on my phone. So it was a little easier to go through and go, okay, that was my favorite of that year. Mm-hmm. It's interesting to see like the way that certain things that were on lists have like moved up. Like if I were to like compare them to the films that I even said were the best, like it's interesting to see how some of them
time changes things. That's what I did. Like my favorites of that year, and then great films from that year as well.
That's kind of how mine's broken down. My honorable mentions is we'll get to all that later. But Jojo Rabbit though is directed by Taika, like we said, which is it's very similar to in tone and style to a lot of his stuff. He's a guy who approaches film from like a childlike mentality almost in terms. It's crafted amazingly. I mean, all his movies look great, but what I mean by that is just they have this childlike sensibility to them that is just charming and delightful. And Jojo Rabbit is this is more of a kid's movie than probably any of his films, which is, I didn't even know that. I think it's PG-13.
Hunt for the Wildebeest is childlike. I mean, you have that
but that's rated R though, I think. Because I think he curses in it.
He does. So you're saying, wait, Jojo Rabbit's not rated R?
I think it's PG-13.
What?
There is like one F word in it.
I'm going to Google this, bro. I'm going to Google this.
Wait, let me make sure.
That doesn't sound 100%, bro.
I mean,
you might be right.
Yeah, it's PG-13.
Holy shit.
So, and that's what I did not know that going in, which is I was initially disappointed because I was just like, oh, I thought this was like for adults, and it absolutely is, and I was wrong to even think that. And this is a delightful kids movie. I think it's a little. There's definitely some stuff in it that, like, not young kids, but like I do think. I don't know. I mean, I think it's fairly family friendly, and it's the story of a young kid who's in the Hitler Youth in 19. I think it's like 44. It's nearing the end of the war. and he's like really into it and like loves Hitler and wants Hitler to be his best friend. And he has this imaginary friend version of Hitler that Taika plays. And so he's kind of like essentially the devil on his shoulder to some degree. And he kind of tells him how he should react in certain situations and things like that, and informs a lot of this kid's decisions, at least in this point in the film. And his mother is played by Scarlett Johansson, who's just an absolute delight. This is one of my favorite roles of hers in recent memory. I mean, she's incredible in this film. And he finds out that she's been stashing a Jewish girl, played by Leave No Trace, which we talked about last week, played by the lead from that. She's fantastic. I don't have her name right now.
I was wondering what she did lately.
But Scarlett Johansson is hiding her in their attic in this bedroom of theirs that they have, which I think is like his sister that passed away. I don't remember all the details of this film, but essentially it's a movie where he has to come to the decision that he has a challenging circumstance, which is as a Hitler youth, can you be okay with, literally aiding a Jewish person, in 1944, and this is a kid who's been raised in the Hitler youth world and is very much like it's just like a kid that's raised religious, like they're very strong in that belief, especially at that age, and that's interesting, just from a dramatic standpoint. But what I like so much about it is it's just really fucking tack sharp funny. I mean, but it's also just it's really heartwarming, and it took me by surprise. I didn't expect for this movie to be. I mean, all his films have that kind of to some degree, like Wes Anderson in regards to that kind of childlike mentality, that like youthful spirit, like it jumps off the screen. It's like it's contagious. And the Scarlett Johansson character is this just delightful mother that their relationship is really tender and sweet and charming. And I think it's delightful in that regard, and it's enjoyable as a movie. But then there's these really terrific little pieces of detail that I think really elevate the material. And there's a motif involving shoes that I can't really spoil because it is a pretty specific thing that's tied directly to the plot. But it's incredible. It's like it reminds me of something like I'm going to totally blank on the film. Not a Beautiful World. It's a set in Nazi Germany.
Beautiful Life with this guy, the Italian guy.
The Italian guy, which is an incredible. It reminds me of like all the scenes where he's like creating this world for his son. Scarlett Johansson's character in this movie is very similar to that, just in terms of like the tone. I don't know, like it's just really heartwarming and kind of sad and devastating to some degree. And I just think that, again, that the relationship between Scarlett Johansson and her son in this film, the lead, is just, I think that's what kind of ties this thing together. And it's the way that, again, we can't go into spoilers, but there's a few things that happen in the film that are just masterfully done, in my opinion, that really elevate this from just being a kid's movie to something that I think is really special. I don't know. It's just really clever, and it caught me off guard. I didn't expect to like it, even though I love Taika. I've seen almost all of his movies, other than I think like Boy was one of his earlier ones. I haven't seen all that.
I haven't seen that either.
But I think he's a great filmmaker, and I'm glad that this kind of thing it's similar to Knives Out, which we'll talk about here in a second. The kind of like universal film that I think anyone could like. It's the perfect time for this kind of thing to be released right around the holidays, because I think, and it's politically kind of satirical and funny, and again, it's just written really well, and I don't know, it looks good. It's just overall, it's just really solid, and I think it's good. It's fun for I think everyone would like it.
Yeah, cool.
But I think it's definitely geared more towards adults. Just in terms of like the humor is definitely it's if I think it's definitely winking a whole lot, and I think it'd be hard for a kid to really get that. But like how outrageous, some of the comments towards Jewish people are in the movie and stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
it's we know
that
that's
a lot of controversy.
Awful.
I mean, because of that, and how raw it is. But I mean,
interesting.
But again, I'm the kind of person that I like to be hit with hard type of
Satire.
hitting satire. Yeah, I mean, but even if obviously there's a point to the film, and
Yeah, I mean,
and
it's-
people don't. I hate when people don't get that. They just like, oh my god, they're Nazis and they're glorifying Hitler, and I'm like,
Yeah, but it's not.
but it's
They're
not. Yeah,
criticizing
that's what I'm saying. It's making fun of him.
ridiculous.
That's what I'm saying. People
Yeah,
are
that's the
stupid.
dumbest thing I've ever
People
heard.
are stupid.
Yeah, people are very stupid if that's what they believe. Yeah, but anyway, Jojo Rabbit's fantastic. If
Yeah.
you get a chance, like
I'm
I think
definitely
the
gonna
girls would
watch
really
it.
like
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Like, I mean, it's really good.
Gloriana would love it. Yeah, it's actually her girlfriend is into the Holocaust. And I know it sounds quick because I said the same thing. I said, "How she's into the Holocaust?" She goes, "No, she just is fascinated by Anne Frank's story, and she wants to read all about the Holocaust."
I mean,
So
I went through that phase too,
Yeah,
where
and
I like watched all the World War II movies and stuff.
No, of course, but
Yeah.
I mean, but
Nothing wrong with that.
for someone's because I'm a little warped. But yeah, I definitely think that would be a good movie to take them to both of them. If
Oh
they're
yeah,
kind of,
it's great.
You know,
If it's still in theaters near you, you should see it.
yeah.
So the next one on the list is Countdown.
Yeah, this could be. I mean, the way you did this list, I'm going to be talking more in the next 5-10 minutes. But
Well,
Countdown.
I've seen the next two on our list are Ready or Not and Midsommar, which I've
Which
both
you
seen.
have seen,
So
yeah.
that'll be more
So
discussion.
we Countdown just real quick. This is just one of those.
What is this movie, by the way?
Okay, so it's one of the Blumhouse type films.
Okay.
So you already know it's like a real quick, get them into theaters and jump scares.
Gimmick.
So basically, there's an app on the phone, and this has happened. It's kind of old too because those apps came out like in early 2008s and 9s, where you download an app that tells you when you're going to die.
Okay.
And it starts off where everybody does it at a party, and the young cute girl, ends up having a couple hours. Like the asshole got like 90 years, but she has a couple hours, and she's like, "Oh my god!" So of course her boyfriend's drunk, and he's like, his says it's gonna happen. No, he doesn't download it, and she doesn't want to get in the car because she freaks out. Blah blah blah. She dies, and
So could you live through this whole movie if you don't download the app?
Yeah, I mean, people don't. I mean,
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
you cut to her boyfriend ends up having a car accident. Like she was right. She didn't get into the car. He had a car accident, but he didn't die. But the seat next to her was caved in. So she would have died if she got in the car. So what happens is when you do that, like the minute she left the car and went home, something pops up on the phone and says you violated the terms of the app, and whatever, and all of a sudden, this mysterious, like in Final Destination type thing, where this mysterious force takes you. To get into the whole supernatural paranormal thing, we find out it's a demon that back in the days, back in the 00s, they did it through text, and then like books, and then as it evolved, the demon got more powerful through computers, and then he got.
Is all of this explained in a scene? In
It
the
is.
third
There's a
act?
scene where they go to I forget the actor's name. He's funny.
got, a character
He's this young
actor.
Jewish actor he's funny. He's a character actor, but he plays this like because they go to a priest and the priest is like, I don't believe in the devil, and I'm like, what? So they go
Okay.
to this like hipster type priest in in the community, and he's like, yeah, and he finds out about the demon, and
got
it's
a
almost like
ponytail.
Sinister. No, he's actually cute. He's clean shaven, but like in Sinister where they find this guy Vincent D'Onofrio. who-
Sinister is the
Yeah.
exact definition of what I'm describing.
Exactly.
It's like the
I know you are. That's why I got there.
God, it's just like
But
I
the
like
main
that movie, actually,
Oh no, I
but-
love Sinister.
but still.
And the main character, the female, she's a nurse who the boyfriend, just to quickly sum it up, boyfriend tells her about the app. And he says he's going to die, and of course he dies. And so when they're at the party, she mentions the app. Not at the party, at the hospital, everyone's like, "Oh, I'm gonna download it." So everyone again gets like 59, 60 years, 70 years, 35 years, but she gets like a couple of weeks, And so then it was like 2 days and whatever.
Yeah,
so
it can't be
thus-
weeks. That's
no,
too
no,
long
that's
for a
right. It's
movie.
only 2 days, and then thus the film begins.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Like the actors are all like I hate saying WB because it's no longer there, but you have those teen Riverdale type actors, and then the older ones are on the soap opera type ones, and it's okay. Not James Marsden. Oh my God, Peter Facinelli. From Twilight, but before that, he was like the young hip star of the late 90s, early aughts. He plays the doctor who's like a real asshole, and he get like 56 years. They find out a way. They find this dude who works he's a really asshole. He's the funniest in the movie. He works on some like rinky-dink beeper store thing, and he like hacks the app, fixes their time because they're
So
coming
stupid.
down. And and then so they get a whole bunch of years, and her little sister. And then there's loss. Her mother died, and so she doesn't want to go to the house anymore. She doesn't want to go with the
course.
dad. It
it just hits all the tropes.
Yeah, and then the last, of course, at the end, they end up defeating. There's all the Conjuring, James Wan stuff with the demon. They end up defeating it, because the whole point is someone has to die. If you die before your time, then you break the spell and the demon goes back to hell. And so since, of course, you find out that she's in the hospital, she was a nurse, she takes some type of drug that makes your heart stop. So the demon goes away.
That's
and
the
then
dumbest
her
thing I've
sister
ever
like
heard.
is crying over her. And then like her hand rolls out. And then she has like instructions and another drug in the other hand.
Oh, my
Brings her
God.
back to life. Yeah, spoiler alert. And,
I don't care.
but here's the best part. So they go to the grave. The main character accepts loss. She, the demon comes as her mother at one point. So, and everything's happily ever after. And they're walking to the car, and then she gets a notification on her phone. She picks up and it says, whatever the countdown app 2.0 is installed, and then credits. That's
just
$2, bro. Like, you
that's
can't
like
beat it. So yeah, that's the story, bro.
Marissa went and saw this to make fun of it when
did
I was
she? Good
shooting
for her.
in San Antonio. I think one time we went like last month or something. It looks like a really stupid movie that I could watch on Amazon with my friends.
Oh yeah,
and just
you're gonna
just
enjoy
drink.
that junk, yeah. And then, like you said, drink up, brother.
So the next one on our list, that was Countdown, but the next one on our list is Ready or Not, which I think we've talked about on the podcast. Right?
Well, yeah, you saw it in
really liked it.
late. You loved it. I loved it a lot.
We can recap it for those.
Yeah, just real quick. Samara Weaving, the hot little hipster
Fantastic.
ingenue. I love her. I love
so
her in
good
everything.
in this movie too.
She's this.
She's really, I
cute
think, what
little,
makes this work.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, because all the other actors are kind of cookie cutter. But
Yeah.
she's really good. And
I remember my favorite part of this whole movie is the way we are introduced to her. She's in her wedding dress, smoking a cigarette out the window of their family mansion, which is just a terrific image.
It is, and it sums up the film, and it's really good. It basically she to marry this dude. Well, while they get married, but to be accepted to the family, they have to play a game.
We're gonna do spoilers on this too, by the way. So
I think everything we do is spoilers, no?
Mostly.
Oh no, well, except for the ones I haven't seen.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically, they're a very rich family, and they had their money in many things, but one of the things is board games. They acquired a gaming corporation.
Yeah.
And so one of the things, as her now new husband tells her, is that you have to do it. It's a tradition, and you have to play a game. We didn't say it opens up with one of the family members 30 years ago, who unfortunately her husband picked the wrong card, and we find out that in the little introduction that there's games. The family goes around after they all meet up at midnight, and they say, "Oh, yeah, well, I played checkers or chess, and I played Old Maid," and so I when I said this, okay, so there is a way if you luck out with the card, you can,
which is kind of Cabin in the Woodsy to some degree, which I enjoy, like the little.
I'm sorry, man.
Just the choose your own adventure, kind of concept.
Yes.
That this movie presents as I would love, rather than like you just described with Countdown, where it's like the version 2.0 is out. Here's the sequel set up. It's like you could totally do a sequel to Ready or Not.
Oh yeah, of course not.
And do it with these like separate other concepts. I don't think it would work as well as like a Cabin in the Woods would, but I do think that's an interesting. I like that. I just like when things give you like this whole another world of potential.
Gloriana said that.
There's really entertaining.
Not here in Texas. Well, it's not a game, but she was like Manhunt, which is a physical game we played in New York. And I was like, actually cool. But like I said, a board game like Monopoly or something like that, where buying home stakes like that. But yeah, basically she picks the hide and seek card, and everyone's excited, and we find out that hide and seek is the game that if you do get. They have to hunt you down and kill you.
Or something, they think something horrible happens.
Or yes, they think.
And again, we're talking spoilers, so we know that something horrible happens.
Supposedly the devil or demon that the family made, or made a bond with back in 18-something or other is, if you do follow the rules and you do get these cards, you have to end up sacrificing that person to him to continue being rich, or if not, everyone will blow up. And I thought that's
which is a silly premise, but it totally works.
It works at the end, especially at the end with it. So anyway, she's running around the house, and like Jeremy said, Samara Weaving is amazing.
She's really great in this.
Yeah, it's like she's been in other films which I enjoyed her with, but yeah, this one I loved her in. She's just like I'm like
she's really angsty. Like this character, this movie is kind
of like a hipster.
Though.
But yeah, and it's just really good. And by the end of the film, she ends up accepting, but also becoming. Like she becomes this game, and what they are, she becomes, and the hunters become the hunted, and it's just a great ending. I love the twist ending. I love You know, what happens. I mean, again, we're spoiling, but, you know, of course, her husband, who has been like trying to help her throughout the whole film, at the end, from a speech by Andy McDowell, whom I'm glad she's still doing film, makes him realize that he is.
Oh, she's the mother.
She's the mother.
She's
yeah,
really
Andy
good.
McDowell. She is very good. Yeah,
and I do
like her a
think,
lot.
you know, despite the fact that all these characters are a little cookie cutter, I do think you get enough time with most of them
Yes.
to make them somewhat memorable, at least in terms of like the plot. Like,
Yes.
because the worst would be like if that mother character was just unimportant. But like
Yeah.
we had like 3 or 4 like full scenes with her
Agreed, yeah.
before that. And my brother's biggest complaint with it was that scene. He felt like that's like this character arc that the boyfriend or the fiance, the husband, I guess,
now, yeah.
that his arc just gets kind of thrown away in that scene. And I agree, I understand that, like, I'm with him in the terms of like the scenes kind of happen like back to back. And if they were like, if you had an extra like 10 minutes in the film to kind of round out that, it's kind of like Daenerys in Game of Thrones, in the last season of Game of Thrones. Like, if you had an extra episode to make that arc, you know, kind of fill it out, it would work better.
And I can see what you're saying, but again,
it's also an hour and 30-minute movie. It's supposed to be kind of clean cut.
And it is clean cut.
It's really well edited.
And not that I'm smarter than any other average bear, but there were lines. Everyone said the line that he was destined to be and that he was once into the game, which, remember, we open up where Daniel, the brother,
who I think is actually really good in this.
Yeah, he's great, and you know, he wanted to keep his brother hidden from it.
I think he gives the best performance in the movie, other than her,
Samara Weaving.
yeah.
But I'm saying that there's hints dropped, like the grandmother or the aunt, not grandmother. She looks like her grandmother. She's
grandmother's
the aunt.
hilarious.
The one who she got
looks
fucked.
like she
her
reminds me
husband
of Yzma from Emperor's New Groove.
Emperor's New Groove.
Or Yzma.
But yeah, but she drops
She
it.
even sounds like her, and she's not her. I looked it up.
Yeah, the father mentions it, the sister drops it, and then Daniel mentions it in his big scene, which what it does give, and again, I mean, I understand Julian's point, but I'm saying that there's something that's not shown because of the 90-minute runtime.
Yeah.
But you do get that point that at one point in time, he was into this game.
Sure.
Daniel was the only one who was not. And you do get that throughout the whole film.
Yeah.
Just that I guess Samara Weaving is the one who made him a better man. He says that. So I think that he could have been fucking worse than his dad.
Isn't he the one that killed in the opening scene?
No,
isn't that?
No, Daniel ends up ratting it out, and that's why Daniel is this character who's always remorseful.
I've only seen it once, and it's been a while.
No, I just saw it last week, so it's fresh in my mind still. But yeah, so that's why I'm saying that, and it makes sense because even she says, "Oh, your brother keeps hitting on me." It's like Daniel wants Samara Weaving's character. I keep forgetting her name, but because that's the woman who would have made his life perfect. He could have, you know, but it's like, not Daniel. Daniel's the good brother, the one who ends up, you know. But the other brother, the
husband, the fiance.
Yeah, I hate not having facts because then I feel like,
that's no worries. I think he's pretty good in this too, though.
Fake, man.
Overall, but I see Julian's point in terms of like, I do too, yeah. But at the same time, like, I also think like you can't. This movie isn't a character drama, right? It's a slasher film. It's essentially a genre film.
It's a genre film. Not
I would just, and the way I
think
I described it is it's like Game Night, right? That it's it's kind of a broad genre film. It's not like, you know, like even the violence. Like there's a few scenes in it that are really graphic, like the scene where she falls into the well or into the pit and
that's
literally
a great scene.
And
that's
cuts her hand open. I forget exactly what happens.
Well, no. Now here's the parallel. So his sister's 2 kids are into the game too.
Oh, yeah.
And so the younger of her sons, just like Alex, and this is why I think it mirrors, I mean, again, I'm not saying nothing about Julian. I love Julian. But I think that if you watch this film again, Alex, when he's young, is being, like, Daniel's hiding Alex from all this. He's trying to get him away from it. Cut to the sister's son, the younger one, which would be AK, because there's an older boy and a younger boy like Alex and Daniel. And so that kid, which is the Alex kid, he shoots her. Remember, he like has the gun and he shoots her, which is different because even though Daniel ratted them out when he was a kid, that's been haunting him forever because he caused a man to die. And so in this case, the younger son, which would have been AK Alex, he like takes the gun and shoots her in the hand.
Sure.
So you get that whole crow thing.
Yeah.
She falls in, and then the only way to save herself because the ladder breaks is to ram the hand into that fucking nail and lift herself up. It's such a great scene. It's
really
hard.
good.
And it's funny because Watch Mojo just listed that as one of like the most haunting or horror scenes of all the films.
Haunting, but it's definitely graphic.
It's a graphic. It's a scary. Well, they said the scariest scene of the film, which is true because that is the scariest scene of the film. Because you have all these animals, you have the dead bodies, the rotting corpses.
For sure.
You don't know what's going to happen when she gets up because it's such a tense scene that I'm saying, oh, watch when she gets up, they're going to be there and grab her.
It reminds me of the scene from what's that movie by the guy who did Devil's Candy? It's his first movie. What's that fucking movie called? It's the high school that she like kidnaps the high school kid that does
the loved ones.
The loved ones. Yeah, it reminds me. The loved ones, right? I think it's what it is.
I think it's the loved ones.
I don't know, but yeah, that movie where he's like climbing out of the pit. It reminds me of that scene, but it's more graphic. So it's like this movie has scenes like that I think go like take it to more extreme areas, but like the whole film is kind of broad in terms of like it's just there's some extreme violence in it, but it's not. It's more like you and I look at that and go, we might flinch at that scene because it's pretty graphic, but like overall, it's not incredibly violent. It's not like I wouldn't call it. It's not like You're Next, where it's like where somebody's head gets shredded up by a blender. So it's like we see stuff like that, which is completely over the top and ridiculous all the time in film. So to us, it's like it just seems like my brother was like hoping that it would be more of a genre film, and it just isn't. It's still kind of a broad comedy mixed with genre elements.
It's a very dark comedy, and it's funny because the trail. I mean, not to say that Julian pegged it wrong. I mean, you see in the trailers that it's one of those dark films, I didn't think there would be like boo, jump scare thingies.
Yeah, and not that he was hoping for it to be like full horror. I think he wanted more like emotional depth, and I was like, this is not that movie.
30 minutes is you wouldn't expect that.
So anyway, that was just now because I could talk in that more detailed because you've seen it now. Yeah. I couldn't last time whenever I reviewed it. But yeah, that's Ready or Not. It's really fun. I don't know if it would be as fun a second time if you know how it ends. But I do still think the movie's really fun.
And I enjoy what you do because I did the same. But then you show it to someone else so they can see it for the first time. And you can get and that's what I love about doing that.
Yeah.
See, we'd love to share our love for film.
That's why I show people movies.
Yeah, Jeremy does it.
Makes it feel like I'm experiencing it for the first time.
And I like that because that's how I get to experience it again for the first time. Sure. Yeah. So the next film, which is interesting.
Actually, I'm going to flip these. We're going to talk about Knives Out because actually Knives Out reminds me a lot of
Ready or Not. Agreed.
So, and then we'll talk about Midsommar.
No spoilers on this one because I haven't seen it. But
of course, yeah. So Knives Out is the latest from Rian Johnson, who both of us are pretty big fans of, I would say.
Brick, my favorite. Looper, my favorite. Last Jedi, I don't care what anyone says. I like the Last Jedi.
I do too. But yeah, Rian Johnson, Brick, Looper is really good too. I think he's a really interesting filmmaker. And this is essentially a whodunit in the vein of something like Clue. They even reference that at some point. Well, obviously, I'm not surprised by that at all.
That's meta, bro.
But it's not like in an obnoxious way. It's kind of a fun throwaway line. But still, it's definitely very much like a Clue meets Brick, which is what we said. Ooh. And we had talked about that. I think I hadn't said that on the last show.
No,
that's what I've been telling everybody even before I saw it. I was like, it's just Clue meets Brick.
All right, guys, pause. I'm going to go see the movie
because it's an elevated detective film and a whodunit, right? It's like in the way that like Brick is a detective movie set in high school, which is just conceptually kind of conflicting and silly, right? Yeah. Knives Out is that too. It's this like. Just kind of over the top. And essentially, Christopher Plummer plays this. He plays Harlan, this acclaimed novelist, like mystery novelist that has made. I think they've sold 60 million copies or something, which is the line that the Michael Shannon, who plays one of the sons, says at one point. They've published. He's a millionaire, and they live in a pretty wealthy. He lives in a really really nice house, kind of in a remote area, and on his I think it's his 85th birthday, which is interesting because Christopher Plummer is actually 90 in real life. He just turned 90, which is crazy. That dude, I mean, he looks young. And he's fantastic in this. I really like him in this movie. I feel like his presence is throughout the entire film, despite the fact that in the opening scene, the house taker walks into his like one of his suites. It's not his bedroom, but it's like where he plays games with their caretaker every night, and his throat's slashed, and he's dead. So we cut to like a week later, I think, which is where they're kind of prepping all the arrangements for the funeral, or at least the memorial or whatever they're doing. And so all of the family, all the families in town for this. So it's like Michael Shannon, Jamie Lee Curtis, who's just outstanding in this. Who else? There's so many people in this movie. It's
Captain America, Chris Evans.
Chris Evans plays the son of Jamie Lee Curtis, and
James Bond, Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig plays the detective. So the family is made up of Michael Shannon, Jamie Lee Curtis, and one other person. Who am I? I've seen this movie 3 times.
Lakeith Stanfield.
Lakeith Stanfield's a detective, though. Yeah. He's not one of the family members.
There's the Spanish actress who's up and coming. There's
so she's the lead.
Yeah, Catherine Lang. Oh, okay, Catherine Langford.
There's a lot of people to talk about in this movie.
Catherine Langford is the young one. From
who am I forgetting?
Why.
There's one more family member.
Colette.
Tony Collette. There you go. Joni. She plays like she's like the health guru, just snobby kind of, probably reads like, the magazines you'd see in a Kroger aisle, one of those kinds of types. She's like, it's negative flam, that's what, she talks like that. Tony Collette's fantastic at this. So anyway, those are the 3 main siblings, though, Michael Shannon, Tony Collette, and Jamie Lee Curtis. And they each kind of have their own thing. Tony Collette's like that. She has her own little fashion company, and Jamie Lee Curtis, I don't know what she does, but she has her own company as well. And Michael Shannon runs his publishing company. So they all are kind of tangentially related to the family business, or at least they've benefited from it for sure. Yeah. And most of them haven't really earned much. It's very clear from the beginning. And somebody sent an envelope full of cash to Daniel Craig. This is a great line in it where he says something along the lines of like, that's all it takes to get you here is just an envelope. And he's like, an envelope full of cash. So Daniel Craig makes this film.
And he has a southern accent.
I think he should be nominated for this performance. I think he's so good in this movie, and the accent is so goofy. And I literally have a list of quotes from this movie from his character alone, because he surprises you in every scene with just the most ridiculous, just the way he phrases things. Let me find my notes here. It's like, so the lead character, played by Anna, what's her name? I'm
going now.
I know there's just so many people in this movie. She in Daniel Craig's words says, "I hear you have a regurgitative reaction to mistruthing," which is so fucking funny. It's just like he's like a detective in this kind of movie. So this movie feels like it's imitating this genre.
So from getting, now that you're saying that, because I didn't get that, I thought he was like a family member. So he's a detective.
So he's a detective that's brought in. Police. Yes. So he got an envelope of cash from somebody, an envelope of cash, and is brought in to investigate.
Don Johnson's in it too. I keep forgetting his name.
He's really funny. He's really good in this too. Everybody is just chewing up the scenery in this film. I mean, it's just like every scene, there's just terrific dialogue, and this script is perfect. I think it's just outstanding. But what I like about it the most, though, is that it's kind of like a postmodern Clue meets Brick, where it's like it's very aware of itself and it's aware of the genre that it's imitating, but it also elevates beyond that because it's aware of itself. It's in the same way that Cabin in the Woods it's effective as a horror film. It's also meta and aware of the fact that it's a horror film, and that's what makes it fun. On top of being kind of scary at times, like some of the clown stuff in that movie is like actually horrifying, but it's also really funny because it knows it's a horror film. Correct. That's what this is. It knows that it's Clue, right? And it references that, but it also just the plot is like just so interwoven in a way that's just to some degree completely ridiculous. And Daniel Craig describes it as it's a donut hole with a hole in the center. But if you look more closely, there's another donut with another hole. It's so fucking stupid and just goofy, and I had such a good time. And I've seen this 3 times in like the past 2 weeks. I think it's the reason I haven't seen anything is because I just keep going to see Knives Out. In fact, if anything, I need to move it up my list because the more I talk about it, the more I like this thing. Daniel Craig is so much fun. He's having a blast, and it's contagious. You can't help but like, it's just so goofy. And essentially the plot of the film, though, is that he gets hired to investigate this murder or something. We think that there may be, I do suspect foul play. That's the way it's described, which is in the trailer. I just and in doing so, the caretaker with the regurgitative reaction to Miss Truthen, he essentially brings her on as his Watson is what he calls her, to help them investigate because he says that earlier in the film that she's the only one that has nothing to gain from Harlan's death. And he thinks she has a kind soul, is the way he describes it. So he brings her on, and I can't go too much into detail, but she wasn't there in some way. She knows what happened, and so there's this conflict of her being aware of what's going on and the detective not, which is really fun, and that's essentially where the plot of the film starts. So it's just this. It's a whodunit that knows it, and there's all these terrific performances and just an interwoven plot that's completely ridiculous and kind of silly, but it knows that too. And I feel like it's just outstanding, and in every sense that it just what it's trying to accomplish. And I think it's kind of like Jojo Rabbit. It's a movie that I think anybody would like. Yeah. I think.
Yeah, but no, my kids want to see this movie.
It's very stylish still, though. Like there's these wonderful like dolly moves that are very genre-like. They're just over the top and ridiculous. There's a moment with it in the final act with Daniel Craig's character that is so fucking funny, and it's like there's like this. It's in the trailer. It's like he like spins and looks at the camera. Basically, it's so goofy, and it's just the movement of the camera just informs everything, and it nails it. I don't know. It's so good. The only other thing I have to say about it is just all these fucking terrific lines from Daniel Craig. Like, tell me why grief is a providence of the youth. There's a point where, in True Detective season 1 where they're like driving in the car and Matthew McConaughey's sitting in the passenger seat just like rambling on about nonsense. There's a scene like that with Daniel Craig that's so fucking funny where he says something along the lines of like, if that were to happen, the mystery would be solved. The slinky unkinked. It's just the stupidest line. I don't know, man. It's so fun, and I want to see it again. It's so good.
I want to see it right now.
Yeah, you should see it if you can. Knives Out is. I think you can take your family to see it too.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
It's just it works on a genre level from like a whodunit standpoint. Like the plot is engaging and interesting, but also it's just so much fun. And I don't know. I need to move it up my list.
I was going to say you sound like
I need
you
to
love
make
this
some
film.
adjustments here.
I'm going to move it up my list.
Yeah, right. I haven't even seen it yet, but it's just
it's number one.
It needs to be up there. Yeah, this is going up pretty high, I think.
Nice. Well, I'm glad I inspired that.
I had it like 5th, I think. So it was on there and up there for sure. But I rewatched a few things that not necessarily didn't hold up as well, but that just didn't hold up as well as Knives Out did on the 3rd viewing. So yeah. At least when we're comparing things for list's sake, but yeah, that's Knives Out. It's fucking awesome.
Yes, now it's on my list to watch tomorrow, bro.
And I hope we see a nomination for Daniel Craig because I think just the accent is so goofy.
Somebody was saying that.
So much fun. So anyway, what's next on the list? Midsommar.
So Midsommar, which is the actual name of the film, but yes, we're pronouncing it like Americans, and we're saying Midsommar. So Ari Aster's second film
after Hereditary, which is our favorite film of that year.
Yeah, it's a great film. That's a great film, bro. But so I saw it. I saw it with Gloriana. Gloriana wanted to see it in theaters. We ended up seeing it on her Fire Stick, and we saw the longer cut.
Oh, interesting. You watched that first?
I did watch it first, and I said that after I watched it, I said maybe we should show the original first.
I don't know.
No?
I mean, when I saw the director's cut, I told you that I wasn't sure which one you should watch first.
Yeah.
I think the theatrical one is probably the better thing to watch because it's just tighter than the director's cut is. But because there's 30 minutes extra. I mean, it's 3 hours long, the director's cut. Yeah. I do think the plot makes more sense if you watch the director's cut. And that's what I would be glad to have seen first. Mm-hmm. But I do think the movie, like on rewatching, I think it benefits from having a lot of that stuff. I wish there were certain elements of the director's cut I wish were in there, and certain elements that I think you could do without.
Yeah, and I remember you telling me that. And
like certain throwaway jokes and stuff that become too jokey. Like, because the movie is kind of a comedy. It is also kind of aware of itself. Like, there's that hilarious jump cut where it's like, most movies you would do like a cut from day to night, but instead, because there's no nighttime, it cuts from day to day. And, and there's like this hilarious accent note. It's very goofy and I think aware of itself at times. But I do think like the director's cut can make it a little too jokey and like take away from some of the horror. Because, but yeah, ultimately, it's, there's no way to perfectly balance that. That's why it was cut from the theatrical version. But.
Yeah. And it was really good. I liked it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Hereditary is still his masterpiece. Yeah. And I like Midsommar. And it's funny because I know you talked about it in interviews and everything I've seen about it. It is very uncomfortable, but not like Hereditary, where Hereditary, I always say this when I describe the film. It's like, as that film progresses and after the daughter's head gets lopped off, you're sitting there like, what? And I was like, no, this is a dream sequence. And then the movie continues like, wait. And I said that about Hereditary. With this one, it's kind of the same thing where you're like, what the fuck? There's a lot of what the fuck moments, but it's like, but not like that. What I liked about the violence or the gore, there was a lot of that. That wasn't in the first film. Per se.
Sort of. I think to some degree, I think there's a lot less. But
when the elders or the older people throw themselves.
Oh well, sure, yeah. Okay. So I think that's a comedy. The him hitting the dude over the face 3 times. Like the first hit was for horror. The second hit was for like squeamish. The third hit was for comedy. For in my opinion, I don't know if that's true or not. I'm assuming that was what that was for, but I don't know. Everyone I've said that to has said that it isn't that, and I don't agree. I think it's very intentionally comedic. Well,
then I got to see it again because, like I said, I think it was more like shocking.
It is shocking.
It was like, what the fuck are you doing? But it's funny because if the first film was about loss, which it is, this film is so awkward about staying like I hated the fact that her character was the way it was because I wanted to smack her too, and I was like asshole. What's his name? Dominic or Robert Mohingan. He was like trying to, Mitchell, whatever. The guy who was like the asshole friend who was like, get rid of this fucking dude.
Oh, the redhead.
Yeah, the redhead kid.
Yeah.
I hate
going blank on his name. He was in like We Were the Millers.
We Were the Millers.
We Were the Millers.
One of my favorite funny movies. But yeah, so it was like.
One of his favorite movies. We Are the Millers.
I do like
one
We
of
Are the Millers.
His favorite comedy movies.
Why don't you like it? Let's see.
You're off mic there, bud.
Yeah.
Here, you can swing it over a bit if you want.
Like this?
Other way.
Like this.
There you go.
There I am. So, what's his name? Yeah, I guess that's what was going on. Asshole. Oh, Will Poulter, who was supposed to play Pennywise originally.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's like, that's how I felt. I felt so awkward. Like, I felt like, oh my God, this girl's horrible, And I was like, and I know it sounds fucked up because, the whole opening where, her sister kills her parents and in my head, I was like, me and Gloria was saying, I wonder if she was home, would she have killed her too? And, it was like that kind of thing where which her character must feel. And it was like, that was I think the horror, because it's like watching an episode of The Office, but it's not funny.
Well, it's definitely like, it's uncomfortable about grief in the way that Hereditary is also, I think. But I do think like, her character is meant to like upset these other people.
Yeah, no, of course.
With her struggle ultimately, but still, I don't find that annoying. I find them annoying for being, insensitive
and that's what makes me an asshole because I was like, and I know there's a point for her that happened to her till the end of the film, which I liked the little ending. I like that ending that she ends up like giving into this cult and this family and whatever not. But it was just like, it was just so much. Like, I was like, ugh. And then when the guy who brought them there, Sven or whatever it was.
Yeah, I think he's great.
And he's digging on her. And I was like, oh, well, this is cool. She'll end up going with him because her boyfriend or ex, whatever he is an asshole anyway. But it's just like, he was awkward in that sense. And again, I do want to see it again, but it's just like, her character, because I love her. I mean, she's
terrific.
She's a great actress, and the other films she's in, I like them all. But it was like that's what it was. It was like I'm like, damn, Ari Aster, stop that shit.
But it is definitely meant for comedy's sake to be uncomfortable.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. So I'm not there yet, but what you're saying,
sure,
is making sense to me
Yeah.
because I can see that. So I definitely will watch it again. But I mean, I did like it. I did like it a lot. The whole, it was like I was telling Gloria about insomnia. Because she said, "Oh, is that true?" And I said, "Yeah, it's in that country," and that throws people off when there's no real sleeping time. And that happens to a couple of the characters, and it's just it's this disorienting, this joint thing that it's always daytime. But I liked it. I liked it a lot. I mean, again, it's not better than Hereditary, but I did like it a lot. I do want to see it again because since you're saying that,
well, I think the movie benefits from a second viewing for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, of
but
course.
for me, it's mostly the technical. I think the craft on display. And I've said this 4 times probably. We've talked about this movie. I mean, it is probably one of my favorite of the movies of the year. It's probably going to be on that list. I know that, but we'll talk about that later. But ultimately, I think it's because of just the visual element is so overwhelming. And I think when you're watching the movie and you don't know where it's going and you're following the plot and everything like that, I think you can miss some of just the absolutely breathtaking visual sequences in that film, like when they do the dance.
Yeah,
and she's spinning, and it's almost nauseating, but it's so floaty, and it ties in perfectly. And just it's like there's so many things. Like if I showed you I don't know how they shot certain sequences. Like there's just I don't know. Like just them lifting her up on if you could take screenshots and make them put them on a wall. Like they're fucking art. Like I feel like you could. There's just scenes in this movie that visually are so when she walks out in the flower out gown when she's completely covered in flowers, and it's just like I've never seen anything like that on screen, right? And I feel like that's what's interesting about it is that it's taking this genre, which is folk horror, which is most of the violence happens off screen, and it it's just, but the cult stuff is interesting, but I've never seen cult stuff like this. I've never seen.
Yeah, I mean, this movie's compared to The Wicker Man, which is one of my favorite all time horror films, and there's a lot of that. But what I like about this, as opposed to The Wicker Man, is that there's not a lot given. So there's that mystery about everything.
Sure.
I mean, because though there's a lot, they do talk. Sven talks about the cult and all that. You're not really given the real story, and it's funny because
especially in the theatrical cut, there's actually less.
There's less, yeah.
Like the whole scene in the lake doesn't happen in the theatrical cut.
Oh, okay.
And then the argument that happens after that, which is when I talked about the director's cut, that's the scene where I think that shouldn't have been in there. I don't think you needed that scene, but it does inform the dream sequence that happens later, where she thinks that he's going to leave her. But still, I like the lake scene though. I think is really good. I like the way that it's the transition point where they start giving Danny power. I don't know if you noticed that in that scene, and I've seen it multiple times. So I guess it's the point where she says stop, and they immediately stop what they're doing.
Yes,
it's like all of a sudden it's like they're giving her this little glimpse of control in a weird way. I thought that was really interesting, and I thought that informs, and then it also tells us the British character that dies. It tells us how she was killed and what that, because in the theatrical cut you don't see that scene, so you don't know what that outfit is when they wheelbarrow her in. At the end, she's wearing the outfit that they wore in the lake, or when they're trying to drown the kid or whatever. I forget exactly what the ritual was, but because they're gonna drown the kid. She stops it, so they have to sacrifice somebody else. I think is the way it works.
Her, but
because they have to drown somebody in the lake and sacrifice them that way. So I think, but so it's that informs the actual plot and the actual story of what's going on behind the scenes. But in the theatrical version, you don't have any of that. So there's more mystery, I think, if anything.
But it's still. But then if you're saying that, which I think, not to say I would like it better, because even after that, I still felt it was more mysterious than.
Oh, there's still, but
there's a lot of mystery.
The British. Her boyfriend or whatever that gets hung in the bird cage when there's none of that's explained. It's totally just, it's very visually interesting. The flowers in the eyes is really cool. There's so many things about it that I really like, and I don't know that it's as good. So when we get to top tens, there's a movie that I think is better I admire its craft, and I admire,
and
I just have never seen anything like it.
Not that I'm not that, because
Sure.
you're more into, and I don't say you're more into it, because I love the visuals. I mean, one of the greatest things about Westerns is that, from the masters, is the visual.
Sure. And all those like wide shots of them sitting at tables and stuff. It looks incredible.
It's
it looks
like now that you're saying that, and I see that, because I'm saying like with Hereditary, it's a tight story.
Sure.
Well written.
Exactly.
Amazingly done.
Sure.
Everything. And this one there's a lot of mystery. So he and I guess now that you're saying that, I'm realizing that it's more about the visual style and showing how much of an artist he is. And there's no doubt about it. I mean, now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, the visuals were amazing.
Well, even like that scene
even,
where they...
Even the house, the yellow house.
Sure, exactly.
There's great shots like that.
Yeah, it's just beautiful.
And, very...
great symmetry, great use of just like negative space.
It
looks amazing. But then even like the scene where they lift her up on the thing and they literally physically pull her away from Christian. And there's that great moment where she sees her mom in the crowd of people, which I think is interesting because it means that she's seeing her family in this group of cult members, which is, again, like I think the movie has all these details to it that I think really elevate it past just a good folk horror film. And so I think now I have no issue with somebody that dislikes this or finds it odd or
So Gloriana obviously didn't like it, and I think she would have enjoyed the theatrical version better then.
And the other thing is you didn't, if you saw it, like, I think on the big screen too, it's even more overwhelming.
I agree with that. That's what I felt too, because like I said, this is a movie we wanted to watch in theaters. We didn't get to. We saw it on TV. And I said the same thing. I said, "Oh, this would have been nice." Some of those shots, I thought it would have been nice on the big screen.
Yeah.
I kept saying that to her, and she goes, "Yeah." But I think that's what it was.
I rewatched. I didn't put it on the list because I didn't really have a whole lot other than this to say about it. But Once Upon a Time in Hollywood felt that way for me too. I saw it on the big screen, and then I saw it at home like recently with or it was like 2 days ago with I showed it to my parents. And it was just not the same. Where it was just like, it's just it's like I think it's still a great movie, but it just wasn't as impactful. Like to especially if you haven't seen it, like just on a small screen at home, like it just doesn't work the same way.
No, I'm saying now that you say that, because I with my Christmas list, Ron asked me what I want. I said, give me the special edition, but she obviously she didn't get it because they didn't have it when she went, but I'm glad now because you're right. Some of that movie does deserve to be seen on a big screen. I love that film on the big screen. Just the texture
of that. Same with Midsommar, though.
Just now that you're saying that, it's
the visual style is so crucial to those two movies. Now, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think it's just mostly because Midsommar could still work just it's a genre film, so it can still work at home.
And it did.
But Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it's like a bunch of people just talking for most of the movie, but it's so visually impressive. Like when Brad Pitt's driving around in his car in L.A. and it just looks incredible.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
It's shot on film. It just there's nothing like nobody's making movies like Tarantino.
That. Oh yeah, nobody does.
And so it's just it deserves to. It's kind of like The Irishman. It's like it deserves to. I haven't seen that yet, but
I was like, wait, you saw it? I was going to watch it last night. And I fell asleep.
I haven't had 3 hours. There's so many movies though. Like even Marriage Story, I want to see too.
Yeah, that's on Netflix too. I want to see that.
It's easier for me to see things in theaters, I think, because I'm like excited to go to the movies. But with Netflix, I just I don't even have like a good time to watch stuff.
We haven't seen Roma yet. That was last year's big movie. I saw it on my queue.
Exactly.
And I was like,
I have a hard time watching stuff on demand. I mean, especially with movies, because it's like I want to see them on the big screen, and so it's just not as fun. It's not as like I don't have my popcorn. I don't like. It's just not the same. But it is what it is. But yeah, I think Midsommar. I think you would enjoy it more a second time. But at the same time, like I'm not, again, like I think all your points are completely valid. Yeah. It's just a movie that really just the cinematic element of it. It's just purely cinematic in that way that like it's just visually impressive. And to me, it works on that level, which it's kind of like I said that like 2 days ago about Last Jedi. It was like Last Jedi it's just an overwhelming visual experience.
Very visual. Yeah.
Just even I love the score of Midsommar too. It's just like there's so many great things going on that it's just like there's too much. The craft is too good to deny, to some degree.
I got you.
But at the same time, like, in terms of other movies with better plots or more interesting, Knives Out's probably more entertaining than Midsommar.
Yeah, and I'd say,
I just think Midsommar is just a cinematic achievement is more the way I describe it.
And that's fine. I'm not saying I don't like it. I like it a lot. I just said that Hereditary was his better film so far.
I agree with that, though. Because, again, I think Hereditary has a better more engaging plot.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And is just as cinematic, like just as much of an achievement on a technical level.
What he does with dark tones, like
Yeah.
it's amazing too. Yeah, so.
But I also love that Midsommar is just completely
It's the
different.
opposite.
Yeah.
It's like all sunny and bright.
Exactly, and it's like kind of a comedy.
Yeah.
It's kind of a trippy acid trip of a movie too.
And
It's
then
just-
that
it's
I
just
also
weird.
said to not to glow, but I was like, damn, if I was smoking weed, I wonder if this would be a little
It's
different.
more fun for sure. But yeah, that's Midsommar. The next one on the list is Parasite,
Parasite.
which you haven't seen yet, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I definitely want to see. No, I'm not. And if anything, Gloriana's like, let's watch Parasite on the Fire Stick. And I was like, you want to see Parasite? So
I don't know if she'd like it. She might though.
But what I like is that she
It's
wants
dense.
to see it, and that's all that I like. Because
that's
she,
great.
like I said with Midsommar, she was dying to see it, and she didn't dig it. But I was like, but you know what, Mama, you saw it, and that's the best part, that you want to
Yeah.
see it. But
Parasite is.
Yeah.
It's really entertaining. I think
Yeah.
anybody could enjoy it, but
And I
do
will say
think
this: it's been spoiled for me. So, but you can go talk about it. Don't spoil the whole film. But somebody said something that I know is a plot point. That
What did they
shouldn't have told.
say?
But then if I say it, you're gonna say yes, and then I'm gonna say, oh, the
I
movie's
won't
spoiled.
respond. How about that?
So they said that there's this ghost-like element. So the film has this horror, not a jump scare moment, but it's not that, and they end up explaining it about a father-in-law or something like that is living in the house, and it has to do with mob or hiding from the mob. And so when they said that, I was like, don't shut up, and then that was it. And then I don't want to hear no more. But go on, tell me your summation of Parasite.
All I'll say in reference to that is that's like a very minor thing.
Okay, good.
And what you're describing you don't have enough context for that
Okay,
to make
good.
any sense.
Good.
I don't think that'll matter. Parasite's a masterpiece, man. I think this movie's fantastic. Just to preface it, it's a film about, for those that don't know, I think it's South Korea, right? South Korean film, directed by he did Snowpiercer, The Host. Let me get my notes out. I have it written down.
Boom, bam, whatever.
Bong Joon-ho. I'm
Bong
sure I
Joon-ho.
butchered that.
There you go. Look
I
at that.
apologize if I didn't pronounce that correctly. Who again? I think The Host and Snowpiercer are just two really incredible films. I haven't seen
You said it's
Okja.
Bong Joon-ho. You're right, 100%. I want to see. That's on Netflix too. I keep forgetting.
Okja, yeah, that's another one
yeah.
I just haven't seen. So it's essentially about a very poor family of, to some degree, just they're like, what I'm going totally blank on what you call this kind of person, but they like kind of swindle their way through life. Like they're very poor though. It's just part of it. They have to, the opening scene is them trying to find Wi-Fi signal from the neighbors next door in the bathroom. Right. Cause they just have no money. And so because of that, it's kind of forced them into a situation where they have to essentially kind of cheat people they find like really clever ways to cheat people into paying them to do things. And in this case, they do that with this really wealthy family that needs, I think they hire the main son, who is also in, what's it called? The zombie movie on the Train to Busan, which I watched recently and
Great
is
film.
fantastic. I think he plays the baseball kid, I believe, but I'm not 100% sure.
Lucy Choi, yeah.
He's great in this, but yeah, they hire him to teach cello to one of the daughters of this really wealthy family.
Does he know cello?
No, he doesn't. So that's the thing is they're all kind of doing bits in order to just make money or to get by, right? And so he puts on this persona. And what's so fun about the movie though is like you think it's like there's going to be that transition period where like he's kind of learning how to imitate somebody who knows what they're doing on cello. It's cello. I think that's what it is. Yeah. I haven't seen this movie in over a month, but still. You think that there's going to be this moment of transition in a traditional film like this. It would be like, oh, I don't know if I can keep fooling them. But it's like this movie's the polar opposite. Like he shows up and he like has everything scripted. He has his whole backstory in mind. He knows exactly what he's doing because this family's done this before, and that's what's so great about it. Because it feels from the get-go like you're in on the bit. Like it's like this rich family they're kind of to some degree taking advantage of they don't know that this family is taking advantage of them, but you do, and that's really fun. And the movie plays with that concept a lot. And what happens is I think one of the other kids in this wealthy family need some kind of help. I think it's psychiatric help or something, because I forget what the reason is, but he recommends his sister. He doesn't tell them it's his sister, though. He just recommends his sister as the person that should. He's like, and he has this whole thing made up in order to get his sister in, and then they get the dad in, and then they get the mom in. So they're all working for the family in weird just ways that none of, like, the father's a driver, and he's not really a good driver, but he pretends to be this world-renowned driver. So they're all just playing these parts, and that's really fun, just from a dramatic standpoint. This movie is really entertaining and very funny at times, in the way that, like, Snowpiercer is. Like, his movies always have had this kind of, almost to some degree, like, The Host is almost slapstick at times. I mean, like, the father in The Host is the father in Parasite as well, who is just outstanding in this. I mean, I wrote his name down too. Pull it up. And again, I apologize. It's Kang Ho's son. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. I apologize if I got it wrong. But yeah, he plays the dad. He's just, like, incredible in this movie. But yeah, so this movie it feels smart, and you feel rewarded for following it to some degree, is how I felt the entire time, because it feels like you're in on the bit, and that's entertaining in itself. But it just has an incredible script and terrific performances and an incredible visual style that's really moody, and just it ties in perfectly with the thematic elements of the film. And I feel like it's just, what's so impressive about it is the fact that it constantly steers you in certain directions and then pulls the rug out and flips the script and just becomes something totally different. And even the trailer says that. That's kind of how it promises. And it's not necessarily in a genre way, like what you prefaced is very specific detail, but it's not like I expected this to just become like some other genre. It's not that, but it definitely, like, it's taking a movie that's like this and it's flipping the script. It's kind of like Knives Out in the sense that that's a movie that's a whodunit that kind of knows that it is. This is also kind of a film about a family that kind of invades, which is, thematically what this movie is trying to say. I think that they invade this wealthy family's world and they kind of infect it, essentially. And what's interesting about it, it's the fact that it's just thematically, all the elements add up to something important. All the details of this film, all the directions that it takes you in, it's all adding up to something. And there's moments in it that are just breathtaking. There's a sequence involving a flood, which visually represents where particular characters are at in the film in a way that just is, it's one of the most remarkable sequences I've seen all year, just in terms of, like, how the hell did they put that on screen? There's moments in this film that it gets to that place, just cinematically, right? But it's also morally conflicting and engaging and frustrating and horrifying at times, and it's so many things. It gives me chills talking about it. I haven't stopped thinking about this movie. I've probably thought about it every other day since I've seen it. It's devastating, it's timely, but it's also nuanced in what it's trying to say. It's like a very political film about the devastating kind of consequences of class inequality, and just what a desperate family will do in order to just basically get the table scraps of what a wealthy family has. It's, wholly cinematic, but it also has something very important to say. I wrote this down, so it's just why my thoughts sound more clear than what the rambling I've preceded this. But, and the difference, though, is that every aspect of this film's design informs the message, the political message, rather than just tacking it on or hitting you over the head with it. Like every element of this film is again adding up to something, even in its design. And it's just, I don't know, it's beautiful. It's really incredible.
Yeah, I definitely want to see it, no doubt.
And just the performances. This should win Best Picture, and if it doesn't, I don't know what. I just, other than maybe The Irishman or something like that, which I haven't seen, but I've heard is also very incredible. There's some movies that I think are great, like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that deserve to be on that list, but this is the best film of the year, in my opinion.
But they won't nominate that.
I think it'll get nominated. I think it's got enough praise.
In the English category for Best Film?
I think so.
Interesting.
It absolutely will win Best Foreign Film. There's no question.
Oh yeah, no, that's
no question.
Yeah, from what I heard, yeah.
But it should get nominated for Best Picture, and I do think it will. I think enough people. There's enough hype around this movie. Just critically, it got a 99% or whatever. I mean, everybody loves it. Everybody not only likes it, but everybody loves it. Everybody that's seen this movie thinks it's a fucking masterpiece, and I agree. I think it's just, from a technical standpoint and from a performance standpoint and the script and just everything that it adds up to, I think it accomplishes. And it's, if you get a chance to see it on the big screen, absolutely go see it on the big screen, just because it deserves your attention. And again, it's just, this is like a work of art, and it's not like, like there's a lot of films, and on our top 10 list, I have a lot of these that are like just amazing and mesmerizing, but they're not necessarily entertaining. Like Amore is one that is excluded from my top 10 list of the decade, because even though I think it's an outstanding, incredible, devastating film, it's not that entertaining of a film, right? Yeah. And it's like Parasite is absolutely entertaining, and it's absolutely mesmerizing, and it's absolutely exciting and terrifying and just thought-provoking, and it elevates beyond what it's even trying to accomplish. I think it's that good. So
definitely want to see it.
Yeah, if it's great. So if you can see Parasite, see it. I think it should be on streaming pretty soon, I would assume.
Yeah, no, probably.
Yeah, it's really good. So that concludes our new releases. We're already at hour 14. I think we need to just cut Crazy Rich Asians, Black Swan, and Black Klansman.
Cut that out. Let's get to the rest stuff. Maybe
we can revisit those in a future episode. In fact, I'll put them down in my notes for the next time, so that we can, because I do want to hear what you thought about a few of those. But anyway, we're just going to cut them, though, because we're going to do top 10s for the year.
We'll do that next year, bro.
Exactly right. I'm going to create the note for IC 37.
Yeah.
And paste those in. Boom. Cool. Okay. Top 10s. We're going to start with this year, and then we'll do
We're going to do this year? Okay, so let me get to my list. I was reading something.
We're going to do them backwards. So you're going to start with your 10th pick, or your honorable mentions if you have them. I have 11, 12 technically. Because I don't think anything cannot be on here. Like, I think that I had a really hard time narrowing this down. Yeah, and it's funny because I have 9. So, I mean, perfect. Remember, it's funny because me and Jeremy are two different people. Jeremy is this young hipster who likes to go out to the movies every day, and I'm a family man who can only go every now and then. So my list is going to be more genre. Oh, my God. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. So you've seen a lot more this year, though, I think, than you had in previous years. Yeah, no, I did. Just because we're doing the show more often, I think, probably. Yeah. So I'm going to start with number 10, and again, from number 10, you'll gauge. I thought you said you had 9. I'm sorry, my number 9, and from my list, you'll gauge of my list. Even though there are some surprises on my list. Ralph Breaks the Internet? No, it's going to be Spider-Man: Far From Home. Oh, and it's I liked it. Again, I'm just going to. Spider-Man: Far From Home. You didn't? I did. Oh yeah, it was action packed. And again, not to compare it in any way, shape, or form, but like Hereditary, it's about loss and dealing with loss. And I know, that's why I said not to compare it. But I'm just saying that in the Marvel Universe, after watching Endgame and you see the losses that happen there, I fight with my nephew because I'm trying to tell him it's about Spider-Man, Peter Parker, trying to come into his own as Spider-Man. Sure. And coming out of the shadow of the Avengers and Tony Stark. Which sounds like something that's been done, but it's handled really well. Yeah, and for an MCU film, I mean, it was very well done. You get a lot of action, a lot of funniness, a lot of joking. Great villain. Great villain, yeah, Mysterio. And it has nothing to do with my boy, Jake Gyllenhaal. It just said the whole character was cool. And the way they did it, and I'm telling my nephew, the way they did Mysterio, unlike the comic book, because if these films are based in some type of reality, you have to understand that Mysterio, there's no such supernatural in the Marvel Universe yet. So I'm saying with that, it was perfect how they did it. Yeah. Smoke and mirrors, really clever. And I love this. So that's my number 9 pick. No, yeah, I definitely enjoy that film. So I guess I'll just do my honorable mentions. Yeah. Because there's a few movies that are just worth noting, which is Ready or Not is on there. Slut in a Good Way, which I really liked earlier this year. It wasn't one that I was like, I need to see that again. And usually, like with my lists, I try and eliminate those kinds of films. So Us is another one. I really liked Us, but I haven't felt I own that movie, and I haven't felt the desire to watch it again for some reason. Maybe if I watch it again, it would deserve a spot on this list. I'm sure, any of these movies probably could. And then Paddleton, which is, it's Mark Duplass and Ray Romano are just outstanding in it. It's a really devastating kind of independent drama, but on Netflix that no one saw. So that's my honorable mentions. My 11th pick would just technically, you know what? I'm just going to do it.
Do it.
You've convinced me. I had a tie for number 1, but I'm going to change it.
No, don't tie nothing, bro.
The Breaker Uppers, which is Taika produced this. It's directed by the two leads. Jackie Van Beek, I think, is one of them. I don't remember the other one.
I love that movie. That was good.
I really like Breaker Uppers. So it's by no means like, when we're talking about Parasite or movies like that, like, or even Slut in a Good Way, Ready or Not, or Us. It's not like a technical marvel, but it's just a delightful comedy from, a similar mind to Taika, just in terms of comedy. It's very New Zealand in just the way that they do really awkward and comfortable humor. I watched it again with Marissa recently. She loved it, and I just had a really good time because I think it's goofy and fun. And for those, I've talked about it enough. I don't think I need to go into the plot details or anything. I really like that movie, and it's held up. I think I've seen it 5 or 6 times. I've shown it to most people I know, and it's like when it comes time to make lists, right? Usually those are the kinds of movies that end up on there. Like I think like 2 years ago, The Guest was one of my favorites because I saw that 14 times before the movie year was up, and it's like it's not the best film of that year necessarily,
but it's your favorite,
but it is absolutely one of my favorites.
I own The Guest,
So that's my 12th pick. Well, I guess I can catch up to you if you
go
want to do
ahead,
that.
go ahead.
Number 11, which could easily be higher on this list. I just have only seen it once, but it really impressed me. I talked about it a couple episodes ago, which is Peanut Butter Falcon. Which I think it's definitely the sweetest film of the year, and I think it's deserving of some. Well, Jojo Rabbit's pretty sweet too, but it's a delightful movie, and I think Shia LaBeouf is really good in it, surprisingly. And the lead kid who has Down syndrome is just fantastic as well. So I love Peanut Butter, and what's her name she was in Bad Times at El Royale. Dakota Fanning, or no, not Fanning.
The other Fanning.
Dakota Johnson.
Johnson, there you go.
Yeah,
Dakota
she's
Johnson.
good too. But yeah, Peanut Butter Falcon. I'm not giving this enough credit. I think this movie could easily be higher on this list, but there's just a lot of good movies. This is a good year. And then 10, I'm just gonna knock these out so I can catch it out. Is The Art of Self-Defense.
Yeah, that's right. You love
Which,
that.
have you seen it yet?
It's on cable now. Yeah, I gotta watch it. It's on Amazon Prime.
Nice.
Yeah.
Art of Self-Defense that's another one that I saw it the first time. I was like, I really liked this, and then I saw it again, and then I saw it again, and I think I've seen it 5 or 6 times now, and it's like it's just undeniable. It's really funny and really dark, and I love it. I quote it a lot. Like, it's a movie that I will watch in the future many times. I own it now too. So that's Art of Self-Defense, and then my 9th pick is The Lighthouse, which the only reason it's not higher on this list is because I've only seen it once. And I think it's terrific, but and that's why it's on this list. But
I definitely want to see Lighthouse.
But yeah, it's just one of those that Willem Dafoe is fucking great, and Robert Pattinson is incredible, and I hope they both get nominated for it. So that's my 9th pick. I'll let you do 8, and then we can go. Then we're
okay. So number 8 is Ready or Not.
Nice.
Which I love the film. Samara Weaving, Grace, her character was amazing.
That's this low on your list.
Yeah, well, there's other films, because you know me, I'm a genre dude. I liked it a lot, but like I said, with Ready or Not, besides Adam Brody, who plays Daniel, the older brother who's remorseful about his life, so they're the only 2 good things in it. Now, I'm not saying, they drive the film.
Completely fair.
Like I said, I like Andy
Everything
McDowell.
else is pretty surface level.
Yeah, but the story, the twists and turns, the ending, it's funny because you say how it opens, it ends the same way. She's sitting there smoking her cigarette, covered in soot and blood. And it was very entertaining. It propelled the plot, very fun. Not original in any sense, but they made it almost original the way they did it.
Yeah, and it's done really well too. It looks good.
Very done, very well shot.
For a horror comedy, it's very well shot.
So, what's your number 8?
My number 8 is Jojo Rabbit, which is, again, as much as I talked great things about this movie, there's just been 7 better films this year, in my opinion, or at least movies that I think are more my favorite, if that makes sense. Jojo Rabbit's just outstanding though. So we talked about that this episode, so I don't have much else to say. But
Yeah, I know. and I want to see that. That's one of the movies I want to see and wanted to take my kids to see. So let's see. So then the next film would be, so that was 8. So number 7 is going to be Under the Silver Lake.
oh, interesting. That actually, I forgot to put that on my honorable mentions. That could have actually probably made the list if
Yeah, because Under the Silver Lake, and I told you this, I was you told me to see it.
Oh, the reason I didn't is technically that was 2018, but
Yeah, but it was actually released
give it
in
to
April of
you.
2019.
Interesting.
And then I saw it on.
I swore I copied that over, but yeah, I must have just forgotten.
Yeah, because it was made in 2018, but it was actually theatrically released in
Gotcha.
2019.
Yeah. I really like that movie.
I thought, it's funny because we're comparing things like
We talked about that movie for like 40 minutes. On that
yeah,
podcast.
because I love that film. I mean, it's like
It's just weird.
if Ryan Looper thought he was David Lynch making a detective film, it's so
You
well
meant
done.
Ryan
It's
Johnson making a detective.
detective. No, I said Ryan Johnson thought he was David Lynch making
Yes,
a detective
exactly.
film.
It's Ryan Johnson meets fucking. What's the Lynch one? I'm going totally
Blue Velvet. Yeah.
No.
Oh, not Blue Velvet. Which one?
Fuck, I'm literally picturing the cover. It's God damn it. It's the one that was supposed to be a miniseries and ended up being a movie.
Mulholland Drive.
Mulholland Drive.
There
Jesus
you go.
Christ.
Well,
I own that
Mulholland
film.
Drive because it takes place in L.A. Yeah, I would give you that. But
But it reminds
the
me of
detective
Mulholland Drive in that it's
story,
like this. It's like this. What's the? God, I'm tired. I apologize. Like the how Twin Peaks is like it's like an idyllic society. It's like like the idyllic L.A.
LA,
and kind of the seedy underbelly of L.A. that gets
LA,
kind of
And
that
it's
gets
just
discovered.
the performances were amazing.
That's the part that reminds me of Mulholland Drive.
And
It's
I
just
got it.
in that sense.
Yeah. And there's that dark. There's some dark, scary undertones. But Andrew Garfield's
But
amazing.
it's still kind of
in
a
it.
stoner comedy as
It's
well.
it's almost you almost got like the Dude almost in the way he does it, but he doesn't. It's not stolen or made fun of. Yeah, I just really liked it. It was very well done, a very good mystery, and I
agree.
recommend it to anyone.
Yeah,
So,
I'd like to see that again.
yeah. What's next on yours, bro?
My phone just
It died.
no, just
bro.
like locked. Oh, Booksmart. Booksmart is fantastic, and this could easily be higher up on the list too. This is again just an indicator of how strong of a year it was. I've seen Booksmart like 10 times this year. I mean, it's so good, and now the reason it's probably not higher is it doesn't. I don't think it's like
This is your number 8.
this is my number 7.
7, yeah. Okay.
It doesn't reach like deeper levels. It is still kind of a party comedy, right?
Yeah.
But it's one of the best. I mean, it's that good. It's it's one of the all-time best, like one night kind of comedies, like Superbad or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just modernized for a modern era or for a modern audience, I suppose. But it's just it's just really witty, and Olivia Wilde does a fantastic job, just directing, and it's edited very well. It's like
done.
a tight hour and a half. Like it's it's just funny as hell, and I quote it all the time, and again I've shown it to like every person that I know, like because it's good for everyone. Everyone likes Booksmart. Like it's undeniable.
And
so
that's my number 6, Booksmart.
number 6.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. Again, I mean, super bad references, but I mean, it's just smarter. I mean, it's smarter than
It's
Superbad.
it's really well written. It's written by like 5 people.
The
but
ending is amazing. That big fight they had, but I loved it, and both those girls are amazing.
Yeah.
And Olivia Wilde is. I can't wait to see her next film. So smart.
For a directorial debut. It's
Yes.
unbelievable.
Yes. So what's your next one?
So my number 6 is The Farewell, which is Lulu Wang
Aquafina.
and Aquafina, which is one of those movies that isn't a film that I would like to see very often.
Yeah,
like it's probably a movie I'll watch once every 5 years. Like it's the kind of film that it like informs the kind of art that I want to make.
Yeah.
It's like it like an Amour. It's like a film that I want to make a movie like that. And the script that I've been working through that I've kind of discussed maybe briefly on the podcast is very like this is very similar to that script. And I think it's a movie that I've thought a lot about over the past 6 months since I've seen it.
Yeah.
And I just think it's devastating and funny and awkward and delightful. And I just think that, again, that's another one that could easily be number 1. I mean, it's that good, but there's just been 5 better movies, I think, this year. But The Farewell is just outstanding. That one's on DVD now.
Yes, yeah.
So I will be hopefully either getting that for Christmas or buying that here soon. But yeah, it's incredible. But it's a hard movie to like show people because it's so devastating. Yeah. It's like not a fun watch.
Yeah,
but,
exactly. Yeah.
But it is really good. So that's my number 6.
So there's my number 5, and that would be Midsommar.
Midsommar.
Yeah, like I said, visually it is amazing. I did like the story, even though it was uncomfortable. But even without like you said that the gore, but it was well done. I did enjoy what's her name?
Florence Pugh.
Lawrence Pugh's performance.
Yeah, she's popping up in a lot of stuff now. She's got that new movie directed by Greta Gerwig, right?
Greta Gerwig, and she's also in the Black Widow movie next year, so that should be really good. But yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I think it was a good follow-up to Hereditary. Not better, but very good. And definitely recommend that for this.
It's definitely not a sophomore slump.
Exactly. Agreed.
Even though it is very different, I do agree that Hereditary is better. But my number 5 is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Ooh, nice.
This is, even though I was pretty underwhelmed by it on the small screen. What I love, I love that it's an ode to an era, and I love movies like that. It just feels nostalgic in a way that. It's obviously Tarantino. He's nostalgic about everything. All of his movies are nostalgic, but I do like. I feel like all his movies are like I've always wanted to make this kind of movie, and he gets to, and it's like he has a great time doing so. Like all the Western stuff is really fun, but I also love like the fairy tale aspect to it. Like when Brad Pitt beats up Bruce Lee, it's just fucking amazing. But I also love like just that whole scene is terrific. Like it's just the craft on display. Again, like Tarantino's a filmmaker that just it's like. He takes me to even like I don't think this is probably his most interesting script in terms of just like scene to scene entertainment.
Agreed.
But he like that Bruce Lee scene. It's like he elevates that.
He elevates
the way that it's shot and the way it's directed, and even like the blocking of characters and so he's working on another. He's operating on another level. This guy is so great, and it's just fun to watch him do what he does best. Yeah. I mean, so it's like Tarantino. I mean, it's another Tarantino movie. It's got to be on the list. It's just that good. You can't. It's undeniable. The dude is incredible. I hope that I hope that he doesn't ever get involved in any kind of like the Me Too stuff. Like I hope that never happens.
Which is funny because I've heard about that. I've heard the whisperings.
Because ultimately Tarantino's definitely one of my all-time favorites, and this is another great addition to his collection and filmography. So
yeah, definitely. So my number 4 would be Avengers Endgame.
Nice.
And again, I know
that could probably be on my honorable mentions.
Yeah, I was going to say, and again, I know a lot of people, who I am, and again, this is a film that you have to invest 22 films into.
Sure.
But the ending was amazing.
Yeah. I watched it again.
The drama, the drama is amazing.
Hulk giving him a taco.
That was amazing.
Great moment.
It was just very solid.
Best moment of the whole movie, I think.
Yeah, everyone says.
No, but I like Chris Evans. I like the
Chris
way
Evans
that wraps
made the Cap story. The introduction to the new Caps coming in.
That's another thing that's funny about Knives Out is seeing him. Like I went and saw Knives Out, and then I went and saw Avengers again. And you're like, oh, I forgot that guy's not an asshole because he's such an asshole in Knives Out. It's great. But the Iron Man ending is
Robert
really
Downey Jr. is
terrific.
amazing. That's a great ending. And again, I know so we can move on quick. But I mean, I love that when he says, he goes, after Thanos snaps, and he says, he's like, I am, and then he stops because like really angry. Remember, you're not supposed to let the glove take over, and then he says, really nice and soft, Iron Man, and then he snaps. I thought it's just a great moment.
Detail.
Yeah, and it's like I cry every time, and then boom, we see that
stomach just gurgled.
Yeah, that was you, right?
The audio.
Yeah. So what's your number 4?
I forgot.
You forgot.
My phone keeps like turning off. I need to just turn off the lock when we do the podcast. But Knives Out.
Knives
Out is number 4. Which again, it's like one of those things where it's like, how are
surprised you didn't move it up.
I did. Oh, you did. It was like 7th on the list.
Oh, okay, good.
It was below The Farewell, so it was 6th or 7th. But there's just 3 movies that I think are just not better because Knives Out is so good at what it's doing. I think it's like a damn near perfect movie in that regard. But it's just there's 3 movies this year that are just undeniably, in my opinion, more important and just.
That's funny because you already mentioned
cinema, not so much
2 of my things on your bottom, but yeah.
But I mean, everything on this list is a strong year.
Yeah.
You know, I think we'll look back at I was looking back at some of the other years as I was making my top 10 of the decade, and there's definitely some years where I was like, oh, why was that on that? Like, I haven't even watched that since. I can't believe that was on my top 10. But like, these are all movies that I've seen multiple times. Other than like Lighthouse, I'll watch at some point. But you know, I mean, ultimately, I've seen all these movies at least 2 or 3 times. So I just, it's a really strong year. But yeah, Knives Out's just terrific.
Number 3 for me is Us. I thought it was a nice original film. I think it was better than Get Out.
I agree.
And
I do love Get Out, though.
Lupita Nyong'o's performance was fucking amazing. I mean, her performance as the Tethered was just so dark and creepy, and the way she did her voice, and
she's really good in it. And I would like to see a nomination for her, but I don't think it'll ever happen. But it would be nice. It came out too long ago. I think people have
it came out in February. Which is horrible, but yeah, I enjoyed Us, and again, like I said, I rewatched it, with someone who didn't see it. And it was just amazing to watch it again with someone who just wasn't aware of what was going on, and it was very original.
It's very visually impressive too.
Yes.
Whereas like Get Out, like he doesn't really get to like play as much in Get Out. Like there's some like near the ending, you get some more like horror kind of visual elements. But Us is like it's all throughout the whole movie. It's just like really visually interesting and different. That's I think my favorite part of that movie. It's just I love like the look of her running down the halls and stuff. Is so fucking great.
Yes.
Yeah, just the lighting and just I mean it's really really well done. I really like Us. I need to see that again because I think that could probably deserve a spot on this list too.
Yeah,
I own it twice.
Oh, you own it? That's right. Pop it open, bro. I own movies that I watch on cable.
Marissa hasn't seen it, so I just need to. Maybe that's why. Has it been like waiting for a good night for her to see
watch
it? And the other guys though that she lives with have already seen all of it, so I don't know. We'll see. I'll find it with time.
What's number 3 for you, bro?
Joker.
Holy shit! Really?
How did Joker end up on 3rd on the list?
Yeah.
Is the real question.
Yeah, I already know what's your number 1. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, so no more saying. That's it. Joker number 3.
But it's like the best third. It's like Dunkirk with the year Dunkirk came out, where it's like this is just an outstanding film, and it's like, but there's just 2 that I think are better.
Yeah.
Like if I had to, if we're talking, Joker is incredible though, and I know it's probably your number 1, which is fine. Again, I think it's when I saw it, I thought there's no way I'd see a better movie this year.
Yeah. Until
other than now, at the same time, I was still debating between Midsommar and that. But there was a wild card. Which got thrown in the mix, which you already know what it is, but still.
I know I think I know your top 2. And you're going to guess my top 2 because
I don't know what your second pick would be.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay, yeah,
that's my number 2.
Yep.
Again, because I didn't see as many films you did. I did love his homage to California. I loved the fairy, and like I said, I know we already talked about The Haunting Sharon Tate. I just think that Tarantino's is much better, of course, in the
it's
aspect
just a better approach to that subject.
And it was done so because, like you said, it's funny because. It didn't happen until the end. I said this to you, and I know it's not because it's Once Upon a Time and it's like the whole thing with Bruce Lee. As I'm watching that scene, I'm like, get the fuck out of here! It's never gonna happen. But then it's like at the end when you realize it's all a fairy tale. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
It's also fun because like Tarantino loves Bruce Lee.
Oh yeah, he does.
So the concept that he like has him in a movie where he gets beat up by a stuntman is so fucking funny. So it's like there's things in that movie that I was listening to. There's a great interview with Paul Thomas Anderson and Tarantino about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Wow.
Paul Thomas Anderson interviews him about it. And
I got to read this.
It made me really appreciate it more in a different way. Like because Paul Thomas Anderson was just like he was even like commenting on like certain casting choices. He's like, oh, I gotta love that.
It's amazing
for like the guy who plays the director that wants to like dress Leo in a different way. Yes. It's like just like stuff like that where Paul Thomas Anderson was like, that dude's fucking great. That's a great piece of cast. It's like because Paul Thomas Anderson loves cinema, and so like he's a great friend of Tarantino. So it's just a great. And I don't know where I think it's on YouTube or something. I don't remember.
I'm gonna definitely look for that because, like I said, it's like you talk about acting. It's like Leo and Brad Pitt, unfucking believable, and that scene where Leo fucks up in the Western, and then comes back so strong, and the little girl is amazing in it. And it's just,
I fall on the floor all the time just for fun.
It's just I just think it is. I'm glad it's number 2. I mean, so what's your number 2 then?
My number 2 is Midsommar.
Midsommar.
It got knocked down because of Parasite.
Which is just what we already talked about.
I don't care. You know what it is.
Yeah, and my number 1, you're right, is Joker. I love the Joker.
And again, any of these movies on any day could be interchangeable. I mean, the top 4 for me, because Knives Out was 4th, right? For me, I think. I don't even know my own list at this point. Knives Out was 4. But even Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like all these movies could flip flop and be the best because they're all outstanding and they're all they're so different that it's hard to, and same thing with Joker. It's just like it's
an amazing. I've only seen it once. I definitely want to see it again. I'm not sure how it'll work on the smaller screen, but now that you're talking about that, Once Upon a Time,
Joker will be just as good. You're talking about Once Upon a Time.
No. I'm saying since you said that about Once Upon a Time, I'm worried. But
I don't think Joker. I think Joker's gonna hold up. That movie's so good. I mean, like I think Joker is accomplishing everything it's trying to go for, and it's one of those like once in a decade type films that comes out and just. But I could say that about Midsommar. I could say that about Parasite though too. So it's like
agreed.
And who knows, like 10 years from now, what I'll look back on and determine to be the gem of those 5. But but yeah, I mean, it's just an outstanding year for movies.
Definite.
So that's 29. It pretty much wraps it up.
That's 2019.
Anything else you want to say about Joker?
No, Joaquin will definitely be nominated for Best Actor.
He should win.
The film should definitely be nominated for film.
Daniel Craig should be nominated, but Joaquin Phoenix should absolutely win. Yeah. But I will say though, the dad from Parasite is just incredible.
And again, I mean, lately,
I cough.
And I don't want to sound racist anyway. Like foreigners have been,
they have a hard time.
It's for the American. list. But yeah, that would be interesting if they did that. They've done it before, so I mean, you never know.
I mean, he's really great. There's a scene in particular that I could point to that I think is. I did talk about it when I was describing it, but I don't want to, for the sake of spoilers, I don't want to talk too much about it. But yeah, I just think he's incredible in that movie. But yeah, anyway, I mean, there's some great performance, like Robert Pattinson, Willem Dafoe, both should be nominated. Like all those films. I mean, but then Brad Pitt, Leo, like what do you do? There's too many people. It's just such a strong.
It's funny because even Brad Pitt was more of the lead actor than Leo was, but I'm pretty sure
Leo has the role though that I think would get nominated if I had to pick between the two of them. But but then again, like Willem Dafoe is so good in The Lighthouse. I don't think enough people saw that though. But we'll see.
The Lighthouse?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But again, like I think Joaquin is deserving though the most of all those, and I hope Daniel Craig gets one just for fun. But,
just for fun,
because I mean, it's a comedy movie. It's a comedy role, so I don't know that he will, but it was still just a fun performance. He makes that movie. So yeah, but yeah, it's just a strong year. So of those, what do you think should win Best Picture? I know that Joker's your favorite. Do you think that should win Best Picture? I think it'd be fair because Joker's outstanding and it should be nominated for Best Picture.
I mean, all right. I'll say yeah. I mean, I was going back and forth, but I'd say yeah. I think Joker should win Best Picture.
Because right now, I think the top contenders, and we could do a whole podcast on this probably. Yeah. And maybe that's what we do next time. In fact, I can probably add that to the list just in case, because I'd love to talk in more detail about, like, from a category standpoint, what we think will be good, what we think would win. Well, I think just in terms of top tens right now, I think the Best Picture is the only category. The first show of 2020
should be that, because the nominations will be coming out. So, I mean, it should be fine,
Yeah, so whatever show we do before the nominations, we could just kind of predict what we think will be there, and then we can do a recap.
That's cool, and then when they do it,
it'd be fun. But yeah, I mean, fun for us at least. I don't know if everyone want to listen to that.
Everyone loves us,
I don't care.
They're like, oh yeah, that's a good show.
I like lists.
I want to listen to that show.
I like comparing movies that shouldn't be compared because they're in different genres. I like doing that. It's just part of what I enjoy. And this is my show, so fuck you.
All right. So now the decade, bro.
Well, but first, what do you think the Best Picture category looks like currently?
It's going to be Joker. It's going to be Parasite. I agree with that. It will.
I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I think, but I'm not sure. But I think, yes.
I think you could maybe see Booksmart sneak in there too. But I don't know. It's been too long.
It depends if they do that 10 category one again or they go back to 5.
You got to remember the 1917 hasn't come out yet too. And that 1917,
yes, that will definitely, because that movie, I can't wait to fucking see.
Dude, that looks incredible. Roger Deakins' cinematography and just in the trailer is mesmerizing. I mean, it's just
listen, they might even
that could end up being my number 2 easily. Like it could easily just overtake all these movies and be. I don't think it'll be as good as Parasite, though. I think Parasite is. I think, the best film of the year, in my opinion. But yeah, because I think you'll see Parasite, 1917. I think you'll see Joker.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you're saying?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I definitely think you'll see. And then maybe Booksmart. I don't think you'll see Lighthouse.
No.
I'm trying to think what else is coming out before the end of the year. But I mean, Marriage Story is not. Irishman is the one I was forgetting. I think you could see Irishman on there. The problem is it's a Netflix release.
That's what I was saying. But Roma made it last year, and that was a Netflix release.
Maybe we'll see.
It depends on the studio. If Netflix throws money at them,
I mean, I think you'll see a nomination for that.
And I know you're gonna laugh. I mean, like they did with The Towers, they had those genre films nominated for Best Picture. No, none of the other ones have. Even though Infinity War is a better film and it wasn't, I'm even saying because it made so much money and it's the biggest film of all time, they might throw Endgame in there anyway.
I could see that. I think
because they got to give it something. Yeah. Because it's made billions.
That's perfectly fair. Yeah, in terms of if you're talking about the movies that are the most important this year, I think that would be in the top 10 for sure.
I agree. Yeah.
I don't think there's 10. So I love all these movies, right? I love Booksmart, Farewell, all these things. I don't think they should be in a Best Picture category if you're talking about the movies that are, but Endgame feels more like that. That's why my top 10s are never anywhere near what I think should be nominated for Best Picture or what will.
No, Black Panther got nominated last year. That's right.
Exactly. Yeah. So if anything, Endgame absolutely should.
Yeah.
I don't think Black Panther. I think that's a good movie, but I don't think it's anywhere near as good as Endgame.
But I thought Infinity War should have been nominated last year. But now I think Endgame might pop on that list. Believe it or not.
I could see that happening.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting.
I do too.
All right. Well, let's. We're running. I thought this. I'm glad that we cut those other movies.
Yeah. We can do this real quick. Are we going top 10?
So this is tough because I actually narrowed it down to 10, and the way I did that was I say 10. It's 10, but I only included one film from particular filmmakers, right?
Okay.
So
interesting.
There's a few filmmakers that had two movies that I think could easily be on this list, and I just made them I have them both listed next to one another. There's actually 4 films like that.
I got 13 on my fucking list.
I have 10, and I have a list of 12 honorable mentions.
I knew you were going to do that. That's why I said I'm going to go a little bit over.
Okay, so I'm not going to discuss. I'm just going to list them off. So my honorable mentions is The Wailing, which I think is just incredible.
Good movie.
A Separation, which is fantastic. You haven't seen A Separation? Holy shit, dude!
Did you tell me
that could easily be the best movie of the decade? If I mean, it's that good. But these are all the reason
you mentioned it, but I forgot we didn't talk about it much.
Yeah, the reason they're on my honorable mentions though is they're The Wailing is a 3-hour.
I love The Wailing.
Epic,
I do love The Wailing.
Same thing with The Separations. It's a domestic drama that's just devastating.
Right.
It's about a divorce.
Yeah.
It's kind of like The Farewell. It's one of those movies that I'll never forget that film, but it's hard to go watch it again. It's not one of my favorite. Yeah, but it is absolutely one of the best, right? Same thing with The Wailing. I think that movie is just a cinematic masterpiece. Yeah. Before Midnight was on there, which I think that's one of my favorite trilogies, other than Lord of the Rings. It's up there. If we're talking about lists, it'd be my top 5 trilogies of all time. But Before Midnight's great. Moonrise Kingdom. Or any of Wes Anderson's films.
I had that on one.
That's on my honorable mentions. But that could easily be on this list too. So it's there's just there's so many films that just have to be mentioned. Her, Spike Jonze, I think is fucking great. Take Shelter.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you love that
that's a movie. I watched that again this year actually, and it floored me again. I just think the ending is perfect. I think that film and Michael Shannon is great. Enemy, which is really hard to not put on the list.
Yeah,
it was 2012 or something like that. But yeah, Enemy's really good. And even Denis Villeneuve, Blade Runner, Prisoners, Arrival.
I had Prisoners.
That dude's fucking killing it, man.
But I cut it. Yeah.
But it's so hard to not put those movies on this list because those movies are incredible.
Out of all those, Prisoners was on, and I cut it.
Yeah. Prisoners is outstanding. The Lobster or any of Yorgos' films.
I knew you were gonna do that. Yeah, I had Killing of a Sacred Deer, and then I cut it. Yeah,
great movie, but it's if there's just 10 that I think are better. Holy Motors is another one that I think is just a fucking masterpiece. But again, it's another movie that I'm I know that this is a best of list, but it's more of a favorites list. It's not necessarily. It's my now my number one pick I think is my top 3 I think are absolutely contenders for best of as well. But But anyway, Burning, which I thought last year, which is a movie that should have won. It should have topped my list. I think Hereditary came out last year, though. Yeah, so it wouldn't have won over that, but for me. But yeah, Burning is just outstanding. Short Term 12, I recently revisited, which is incredible. That movie's devastating and just it's so human in the way that it's shot, and it just feels like you're watching real people. And then Raw, which I revisited recently, which was my best of in 2017, I think. Yeah, 2017. I think the movie's incredible too. And then Amore, which I've already kind of talked about. So like, these are all movies that I think are like just incredible. They're movies that I can't believe exist, right? Yeah. But there's 10 more.
Yeah, well, yeah. So I can do my honorable mentions.
Go for it.
So on the honorable mentions list is going to be, and I'm going to go chronological order, though it's not in any order like you did with your honorable mentions. The Django Unchained.
That was one that was really hard to not put on there too, and that could be in my honorable mentions also. I figured you'd probably say it though. Any Tarantino film, they're all great.
Birdman was
interesting. Yeah, that wouldn't be on mine, but I do think that's a great movie.
It's a great movie. Hell or High Water.
Hell or High Water is really good.
Really good film. Yeah. And then to round out the next couple of ones is going to be A Quiet Place.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I really, really enjoyed that.
I do like Quiet Place.
And again,
that was in my honorable mentions for this year.
I wanted to fight for this one, but Avengers: Infinity War.
Yeah,
it's my honorable mentions.
Infinity War is great.
And then the last of them, even though I said Avengers: Infinity War, but below that would have been Spider-Verse because I really enjoyed Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse is really fantastic. That was like in my top 3 last year. I think. Yeah, I mean that's a great movie. Yeah.
All right. So
now top 10 of the decade.
Well,
now you didn't have all the lists that I had because it was probably harder for you to put yours together.
Yeah. It was, but I actually, I went to I Googled like every fucking film that came out, and I literally just went through everything that I saw, and then I put it out there. But yeah,
The Quiet Place has no place on your list. Top 10 of the decade. Come on,
bro. It's an honorable mention, Ma. You said honorable mentions.
Ma.
I did it, Ma. It's not man.
I'll give it. It's a great movie. I think Quiet Place is really good, but it should not be anywhere near a top 10 of the decade list. Come on, bro. There's so many good ones.
We want originality too. I want to put things that I really enjoy.
I know. I mean, hey, I like Quiet. Quiet Place wasn't even in your top 10. Wasn't that this year?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
It's because I didn't want to put in honorable mentions either. But anyway, all right, let's get to this. Go. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4,
all right, 5. Go ahead and do your 10th pick.
So my 10th pick is A Quiet Place. No, okay.
Yep. Of course.
Was The Conjuring.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I forgot about The Conjuring. Yeah, that is a great movie.
Conjuring changed the face of horror film.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
It made James Wan a fucking superstar.
Yeah.
It created a universe that Warner Brothers thanks God for.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just so well done. It's tightly done.
Mm-hmm.
It's scary as fuck. Mm-hmm. And I loved it. The performances were amazing.
Isn't it crazy that you can look back at something like that now that's created so many other movies like it?
Yeah.
And it almost seems unoriginal now.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
That's a film that was unbelievably well crafted. It was like horror. It changed horror forever. I mean, it was just one of those things where it elevated the genre and set higher expectations. I would agree with that completely. Yeah. I think The Conjuring is really good. It would be if we did a top 10 horror films of the decade. That would be maybe that's just what we would do for the next 10 podcasts. Is just come up with top 10 lists of the decade. But yeah, I mean, I think that movie is outstanding. So I saw that in the theater and had just an absolute blast. I'll never forget that theater experience. It was so great.
It was. I shat myself. It was good. It was a good stuff.
That was the one where there's a point in the movie where somebody goes, "Is someone there or something?" Or who is that? And then my friend went, "It's me." It was Daniel Hernandez. That was a fun time at the theater.
That was a fun time.
My 10th pick, which I recently rewatched, which I think is just one of the funniest films of the decade, and certainly a movie I will see. I will watch this movie 2 times a year for the rest of my life, which is The Nice Guys.
Oh my God, I was going to put that on the list, and then I was like,
it's so good, man. It was like my second pick last year. It was like it was just a movie that like I just think it's a slapstick comedy. It's a buddy comedy. Shane Black. It's just him at his best. I think it looks really good. Like all the like production design. I love Ryan Gosling's jacket that he wears, the orange and blue suit that he wears, and he's so fucking funny in the movie. Russell Crowe is really great. It's really well edited. It works for everyone. I've shown it to everybody I know, and everybody has a good time. It's like a broad comedy that's so well written, and just in the chemistry between these two characters, and even like his daughter is really great in it. Yeah. She's in Far From Home as well. She's really great. I think it's one of those movies that it's like, sure, it's probably not one of the best films of the decade, but I've seen this movie like 25 times already. It's so fucking fun, and I love it every time. Like when Ryan Gosling thinks he's invulnerable, like he can't be killed at the end of the movie, because it's also a movie that's to some degree imitating the buddy comedy. It's like which. To some degree, Shane Black kind of invented that with Lethal Weapon. Yes. And so it's like, it's interesting to see, it's kind of a postmodern, buddy cop movie. It's a detective film with, it's like, and it's written by a guy who kind of created that to some degree. So that's fun. I think it's just, I think that movie is so goddamn funny. Like the scene in the bathroom with Ryan Gosling where Russell Crowe kicks in the door, or he opens up the door, he has a gun, and he's on the toilet with his pants around his ankles. And I think he's maybe smoking a cigarette or something. He drops it in his underwear and then is like shuffling around. And it's some of the best physical comedy I've seen in years. I think it's so good. Yeah. So that's my 10th pick.
I was going to put it down. I was like, nah, let's go for a higher brow. But so I'm glad you're putting that. So my next film, number 9, would be Hateful Eight.
Yeah, that's again, Tarantino's it's like he
always, yeah. I love Hateful Eight.
I didn't see that until 3 years after it came out for some reason.
Yeah, right. We were supposed to go see it, and we never got to see it.
I don't know what the hell.
I saw it like a year later at the library. I saw it. So let me see this movie. I still haven't seen the Roadshow version, which is the extended cut. It was on Netflix, and I never got around to seeing because it was like almost 4 hours long. But I still love it.
The performances are great. It's just,
the Django Unchained is more entertaining as a Western.
I would agree.
But Hateful Eight just has a tight script. The script is well done. The whoddunit is
Tarantino.
There. Yeah, Kurt Russell's amazing in it.
Yeah, he is
Sam
amazing.
Jackson, even friggin' what's her name? Jennifer Jason Leigh's amazing.
Jason Leigh, yeah.
The surprising turn by Channing Tatum.
I also like. He has a weird name. He was in Vice Principals. What's his name? He always plays the racist in all of Tarantino stuff.
Oh yeah,
he's in Django.
Walter Scoggins. Yes.
I love that dude. He's great in Hateful Eight.
So yeah, that's my
He's in Hateful Eight, right?
Yeah,
that's him, right?
Yeah, that's him. Yeah,
he's like one of the main bad guys.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So what's your number?
Really great.
What's your number 9?
The Raid Redemption.
I was gonna put. Damn, bro.
It's one of those movies that I feel like kind of like the way you were just with The Conjuring. I feel like it. Well, I guess I said it, but still, like it elevated the action genre forever.
Oh, yeah.
Movies like John Wick and all that, so like they don't even compare. Like it's still the Raid.
We stole it and made Dread. And Dread was that movie, yeah.
But the Raid Redemption is so scrappy. It was made for like $1 million or something. It was made for nothing. I don't even think it was that much money. I think it was like less than $1 million. And it's like it's expertly choreographed and shot, and it looks good, and it's fun, and it's like an hour and 20 minutes. So it's just one of those things that it's incredibly violent and brutal, and it makes you cringe. But it's just it's like a play. It's like it's like so expertly crafted for a debut feature from Shane. Is it Gareth Evans or Gareth? I always forget. I think it's something Gareth something. I think it's Gareth Evans. There's the other guy did Godzilla though. Gareth something. I don't know.
Wait, Raid Redemption is by. Why am I sounding away from the mic? There I go. Gareth Evans, you're right. Yeah. Okay. Well, Gareth Hugh Evans.
I always get him and the guy who did Godzilla mixed up.
Who's that? That's.
I just get their names. No, he produced that, didn't he? But I don't fucking know. Let me pull it up. You do your pick though.
Oh, okay.
Raid Redemption's great.
You're talking about Godzilla from 2014 Godzilla?
Yeah.
That's directed by Gareth Edwards.
Gareth Edwards. You go. Yeah. So anyway, that's it.
I had to search that, bro, because we're gonna.
No, I did too. It's all good.
All right. So wait, what number was that? 9, right?
That was 9 for me.
Okay. So let me get back. So the next one would be The Shape of Water.
Interesting.
I really enjoyed that. Love
I had to
story.
look up and see if Pan's Labyrinth was in this decade because
No, it
I would
wasn't.
have.
I would have picked over
Yeah,
that.
Shape of Water is really great.
But it's a great film. I love Shape of Water.
Yeah, that's fair.
Visuals amazing.
Yeah, it's really well done.
Story
Michael Shannon's
beautiful.
really
Michael
good.
Shannon's amazing.
But
in
what
it, yeah.
the lead though is just outstanding in it.
Yeah, the woman,
I'm going totally.
the
I
English
should know
woman
her name.
from Paddington.
Yeah,
but,
she's great. She's really
I
great
love
in
her.
the movie.
She's in a lot of stuff. But
She's in a whole lot lately.
Yeah.
No, that's a good pick. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Number 8 for me is it's 2 movies. It's The Guest or You're Next. It's either of them. I love both those films.
And I'll accept that pairing. I won't.
I mean, it's
fight you
it's
on
the
it.
same writer and
Yeah,
director
yeah.
pairing, and I mean, ultimately, I think Your Next.
I was going
kind
to put
of,
Your Next.
Your Next has had a big influence on the genre as well.
Yes,
I think
yes,
just
it has.
it's this decade's. I don't know if Cabin in the Woods came out this decade.
Yeah, it did.
Did it?
We saw it together when we met in 2012.
Oh fuck, that should absolutely be on the list.
Yeah.
Well, shit, I fucked that up. Yeah, there's too many movies, man. Cabin in the Woods should be on this list in replacement of this, if anything. But yeah, The Guest is one of those movies that I actually showed to Marissa and some of my other friends recently, and they were all like, I feel like it doesn't know what it wants to be. And I'm like, okay, you haven't seen the movies then that influenced it, because it's Terminator 2 means Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. And it's exactly those movies. I don't know, man. It's just like I just think it's a movie that has its tongue firmly placed in its cheek. And it has, and now maybe you have to I guess maybe you need to know movies more to get that.
Yeah.
Because it's so obviously a Terminator 2 ripoff.
Yeah.
And that's goofy. And that's what makes it funny, right?
Yeah.
And I guess if you don't make that connection, then it is over the top, but I feel like it could be kind of misunderstood as being kind of silly if you don't understand that it's kind of aware of itself. I don't know. It's like maybe maybe it just didn't work for them, but I think it's outstanding. I think it's every bit as. I don't even care that they don't like it because I think it's so good. I just think The Guest is so stylish and fun.
I mean, I like
Dan
Your
Stevens
Next
is
better,
great.
but I love
Your Next is amazing though too, and that's the other thing is I couldn't pick one over the other. Those
that's
two
fine.
movies
I'll accept it. Yeah.
I've seen those movies combined over 50 to 100 times at this point. I mean, I've seen those movies so many times. It's unbelievable. I've seen them more than I've probably seen Pulp Fiction. It's that's how many times I've seen some of these movies.
Interesting. I've seen Pulp Fiction very many times.
Yeah, but still. But the Guest in Your Next is just they're just amazing. Adam Weingart, Simon Barrett. Thank you for those movies, because those could be higher on my list too. I mean, all these movies are. It doesn't. The order of this list doesn't really matter, other than maybe the top 3.
I agree. Yeah.
For me.
What number are we now? 7?
That was 8 for me.
So 7 would be Gone Girl.
Gone Girl. So that was a hard one to leave off the list.
David Fincher was amazing.
It is a perfect film. I really think Gone Girl is outstanding. Yeah.
Ben Affleck was good. The twist ending I didn't see coming because I never read the book. So
yeah, I didn't either.
I enjoyed that ending. And Gone Girl.
What's the lead? What's her name?
Yeah, what's
the girl who's
She's
gone?
the one from Hostiles.
I know.
Shit.
She's so good in Gone Girl. She's really fantastic.
Yes, she is. She was amazing. I mean, I'm surprised she didn't win the friggin' award for that.
That was a travesty that she didn't get.
Rosamund Pike.
Rosamund Pike. That's right. Yeah. Man, that was a good movie. And Gone Girl was on my list that year it came out.
Yeah, you thought.
And I've rewatched it since then, and it is every bit as good. I'd like to read that book too.
Yes, I always say that, and then number 2, and you can get it anywhere now, for free and shit.
Number 6 for me. Oh wait, no. That was your what? What number was that for you?
That's 7. You're doing 7.
So my number 7 is Frances Ha.
Ooh, nice.
Noah Baumbach, co-directed by Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig. Greta Gerwig is an absolute delight. I think I love her in this movie. I want to be her friend. She's so delightful, and just her approach to these. It's just a movie about a girl kind of figuring out her 20s is all it is. It's essentially the plot of Girls, but with Greta Gerwig as this delightful. Girl that's she's broke and she's trying to kind of decide whether or not she wants to continue being a dancer because it's not making her any money or grow up and get a real job. Which is just a struggle that I think every 20-year-old, anybody in their 20s is especially an artist, anybody that's doing something like that. I mean, I've had that challenge. That's why I shoot weddings. Weddings aren't what I want to shoot for a living. But I do it because I like doing it, and it still lets me do my art and be able to do, be able to be kind of, doing some kind of, cinematography or some kind of art. And so it's very much a movie about that, but it's also a movie about her friend kind of essentially, getting into a relationship and moving on with her life, and kind of dealing with the fact that at some point, like your best friends can't always be your best friends, because ultimately at some point they're going to get married and they're going to have their new best friend, and that's sad in itself. It's just something that like I just relate to the material in that film, and I think Greta Gerwig is just. It's a movie that's contagious. It brings me so much joy, and it's also really sad at times. And I think it's just a really delightful film. I mean, it's the best way to describe it. I love that movie, and it's a movie that I watch multiple times a year, and it brings me joy. I love the score. I love the soundtrack of it. It's really fantastic. So. That's one of those movies that, yes, maybe it's not the best film of the past decade, but it's certainly one that I cherish, and it's one that I've seen that movie again like 20 times probably easily, and it's like I love it. So I love the black and white photography of it. It's just it's great. So that's Francis Ha.
Number 6, La La Land.
That one's on my list.
Oh yeah, look at that. Number 6. I love La La Land.
I watched that 2 weeks ago.
Did you?
With Marissa loves it too. Like both of us know all the words, all the songs. Like it's like that. Cool. And we made one of her roommates watch it. But yeah, it holds up.
It does. Yeah.
It's a movie like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that it's like this ode to LA, but also just the stardom of LA, and just the movie making, and
cinematography is amazing. The colors.
Yeah, it's really vibrant and colorful, and
it's heartbreaking. I love the end of that film. The ending of that film makes me cry every fucking time.
It's really great. It gives me chills thinking about it. And I love the music. I love Justin Hurwitz does a great job with all the music in the film, and Damien Chazelle. So the other one, the pairing of that was another one. Whiplash is tied to my La La Land pick, which is number 5 on my list. I just think Damien Chazelle is a filmmaker that will be one of the greats. I mean, if he keeps making movies and doesn't like die randomly, or like something horrible happens, like I don't see that guy slowing down anytime soon. I mean, First Man is great too. Whiplash and La La Land are 2 of the best films of this decade, but also 2 of my favorites. I think they're just.
I know that's your favorite.
But Whiplash is an incredible film. Like, both of them, they handle music so well, and they're really well edited with the music. And he's a guy that he understands that pairing better than most filmmakers, I feel like. And I love that the movie's kind of about jazz as well, like La La Land at least, and same thing with Whiplash. It's a really outstanding movie, and I'm glad that people are like revisiting it, and I feel like more people are like appreciating it than because when it came out, I think it got nominated, almost won Best Picture. Yeah. So I guess technically but critics weren't like extremely excited about it. I think it was
a mixed bag. Yeah.
It's mostly because of like it's not as traditional of a musical in terms of like the numbers aren't as big. Everybody loves that opening number. Yeah. The one that's on the. I don't know LA's roads, but on like the overpass of one of the main freeways. That's an incredible number. But I also love that it's also just a normal movie as well. Like I love that I love the romance of it. I love Ryan Gosling, obviously. I'm a huge Ryan Gosling fan.
I'll bet you are. Bro.
There's 3 Ryan Gosling movies on this list. See if you can guess which one before we get to it. Anyway.
Oh no! Really? All right, we'll see.
Because The Nice Guys, La La Land. Anyway, I'm going to do my number 6 pick though, because we kind of skipped over.
Well, that was my 6. You jumped to your 5 because of that.
Yeah. So my 6th was Hereditary and Midsommar. So I mean, I just think, and I think it's one of those things. Not necessarily Midsommar. I think Midsommar will down the road be. Again, a movie that influences the things I make, like just the visual style and all that stuff. But Hereditary is the better of the 2. And I think when I saw Hereditary, I thought it was one of the scariest films I'd ever seen. And I still think that holds true. I've rewatched that in the past month or so, kind of in preparation for the end of this year and this list that we were doing. And Hereditary, it just is, because Marissa hadn't seen it. And it was the way she described it was like, I would love to see that again, but I don't know if I could handle that. And I think that's what's great about Hereditary.
Yeah.
So.
That's your number 6?
Yeah, number 6. And then number 5 is La La Land and Whiplash.
Okay, so so see, you threw it off. You threw the list off. Believe it or not, my next pick is Argo.
Oh, interesting. I forgot about Argo.
See, bro, you forget.
It's because Ben Affleck, like his directing career went to shit with that next movie that he made after. Because he did Gone Baby Gone, which I love, and then he did what's the one with Jeremy Renner and himself, the heist movie.
The Frontier, Triple Frontier.
No, that wasn't him. That was the
Town. You mean Town?
The Town,
which I like the Town.
Yeah. That and then he did Argo, which is fantastic.
Which is a
and
great
that
film.
got him probably the most critical acclaim. Because that got nominated for Best Picture that year.
It did, and
did
it lost.
Win? It lost to what?
It lost to fucking Life of Pi.
Oh,
Yes.
Life of Pi won Best Picture?
Yes.
No way.
Yes.
Oh man,
This is the travesty. This is why it's on my
the
list. 'cause it's
Oscars. Looking back,
fucking. Let me tell you something, bro.
What a
Argo
shit
was
show.
Such a fucking
Life of
great
Pi is
film.
such a bad, boring
Yeah.
movie.
You know what I mean? Horrible.
It looks good. but
Horrible.
fuck, that's terrible.
Ugh. Hey, you get.
Yeah,
all right, now I'm
that is a
upset.
travesty.
Oh, you already did
Yeah.
5, so we're jumping to 4 now.
Yeah, do your 4.
So you might like this, you might not. Inception.
Okay, so that's higher on my list.
Oh, see, shit. I was gonna put
Inception's
it
one of the greatest films of all time.
no doubt. No
Interstellar is paired with it. I think Interstellar is just as good.
I knew
just
you would
different.
go there. I knew
But
you'd go
Inception
there.
is the
But
better.
Inception is the better of his film.
Nolan's best film, and I think
Yeah.
it's
fucking
it's
amazing.
absolutely the best action film of the decade.
Yeah.
There's just I mean it's a movie that's it has so many ideas and it accomplishes all of them in a way that's so visually exciting but it also has like enough of an emotional punch. Like I think
Yes.
with him and his wife, I love my
story,
French
yeah.
wife.
Yeah, my French wife.
I don't know, I'm going blank on her name. Cotillard.
Yeah,
Marion Cotillard.
Marion Cotillard.
She's great in it. Yeah, but Leo's
amazing.
really good.
He's
Tom
amazing.
Hardy. You have Joseph
my God,
Gordon-Levitt.
yeah, right? Joseph
Ellen
Gordon-Levitt.
Page. I mean, just an outstanding. Michael Caine is in it too.
Yes.
Just a great movie with so many ideas. I can't believe that movie exists, and it's so dense even to this day. Like it's still a
like that. I
confusing
can't believe
film
that movie
that
exists.
but it's not confusing for the sake of being confusing. It's confusing in like the dream logic
In the
kind of
dream
way.
logic, yeah, amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, Cillian Murphy is devastating and
Yeah.
fucking great in
He's
that
great in that
smaller
movie
role.
too. Yeah, small role. It's like
And
almost everybody.
Who plays his dad in that? Isn't it? It's not Christopher. It's the guy.
No,
he's from
old man,
Usual Suspects.
Yeah, what's his name? He has that weird name.
I don't know, but yeah, he's great too.
Yeah.
It's just an outstanding film. Inception it deserves to be on that
Yeah,
list.
definitely. So my number 3 is going to be, and I Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I
Interesting.
love that movie.
Okay.
I do. I love that. I mean, like I said, Leo is great in Inception, but I just loved him so
he's
much
definitely better
in Once
in
Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt too. Like Brad Pitt, I loved in so many movies, but in this movie, he's just amazing. You know,
Yeah,
it's
he
like
is really great.
I love him, and I just think
I don't know if I
I
have
don't
a
know what else to
single
say
movie
about
of his on this
Tarantino.
list.
Yeah, because he's done 3 films this decade. I picked all
Brad
3.
Pitt?
No,
Or Leo?
oh no, I'm talking about Tarantino. But,
Tarantino.
What were you asking? I didn't hear
Django, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
that. Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight.
Yeah, all 3 of those films I got in the top 10.
That's fair.
What was your number?
I can't
3?
argue with that at all. My number 3 is, my number 4, the third Ryan Gosling movie. What did you just do? You just did 3.
Yeah, I did 3.
You skipped. I think we skipped.
No,
because I was talking about Inception stuff.
that's right.
I haven't done my number
skipped
4.
you.
We
I
fucked
skipped
this
you.
all up. I'm sorry.
Do your 4. Go ahead.
My number 4 is my third Ryan Gosling movie, which is Blue Valentine.
Oh, that's right. I know you love that film.
I absolutely adore that film.
It's coming back too. A lot of people are talking about it. It's like coming back.
Well, I love Grizzly Bear is one of my favorite bands. I love the soundtrack is all of their music, which I think pairs really well with this devastating kind of movie about a marriage falling apart, kind of like a separation. But I think it, for me, what I like the most about it is it's a movie that's about a marriage falling apart, but it contrasts that by flashing back and showing when they first met and how they came together. So it's like, and I think the tagline of the movie is a love story, or it's not a love story. I forget. It doesn't matter. But it very much is a movie about these two falling in love, and then watching it fall apart, and that's devastating, but also just delightful. Like it's delightful in this. I think it's one of my favorite romantic films of all time, but it's also
anti-romantic,
a heartbreaking, brutal look at like a marriage that just doesn't work, and but the two do love each other and they care, and and again, Michelle Williams and Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling gives the best performance he's ever given in a movie. I mean, he's just incredible in Blue Valentine, and Michelle Williams is outstanding as well. I mean, I think they both. She got nominated for it.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. It's really great, and it's a movie that like I bawl my fucking eyes out every time I watch Blue Valentine. But then I can watch the scene where, have you seen it?
Yeah, remember
the scene where he plays ukulele in the store window and she dances to his shitty song. It's just like so delightful. It's like I love romantic films, like even like The Notebook and shit like that. Maybe I just love Ryan Gosling. I don't know, but
I was going to say that's Ryan Gosling too,
or maybe both. But you know, I love romantic film. It has like La La Land is just so delightful. And again, it's Ryan Gosling, but still, like
Get to your number 3.
I mean, even like The Lobster, movies like that have like this like romance at the core of it.
Ryan Gosling's not in that one.
He's not in that one. So I was trying to give you an example that wasn't Ryan Gosling related.
I like The Lobster. I do.
Yeah,
I like
Blue
it.
Valentine is one of my all-time favorite romantic films, but also it's just a heartbreaking, bleak movie. But I love it. So that's my 4.
And what's your number 3 now? Because I skipped that because we were talking so much about.
What is my number 3? Upstream Color.
Interesting.
Which is a movie I'll never forget. It's like one of those films that when I saw it, I was just like, this is one of the best movies that's ever been made. It's incredible. It's a movie that it's directed, it's like produced, written, directed, starring, shot by, he distributed the film, Shane Carruth. He did Primer and then did Upstream Color like 7 years later or something. I think he's in a new movie that came out this year, but he hasn't made a movie since Upstream Color.
I like Primer. Upstream Color.
Primer's like really low budget, but it's really interesting.
Yeah.
But Upstream Color like feels like it's like he has a little bit of a budget, and what he does with it is just it's like with Paul Thomas Anderson when he's just operating at a different level of cinematic understanding, like in storytelling and just even psychology of character. Like Upstream Color is a movie that's about the plot is even hard to describe. It's about a guy who hypnotizes people, and essentially by using this, he like gives them I think he either injects them with it but it's with like a mealworm.
Yeah.
You've seen Upstream Color?
I saw it like when you mentioned it way back when, and I saw it on Netflix, but I barely remember it.
So he injects them with like a mealworm, which ends up essentially becoming like a parasite in the body. And there's like elements of body horror in this that are just fucking disgusting and terrifying. And with this and the hypnosis, he robs them of all their money and then leaves them to figure out and then they wake up 30 days after or 30 days later with no money and no understanding of what happened. And it's a movie about people dealing with grief that they don't understand.
Yeah.
And it parallels to some degree with what I've heard, like with people describing, like, you know, trying to get over things like rape and stuff like that. Like it's a movie that's about like this. It's just, you don't know how to describe.
Well, you're violated. Yeah.
You're violated in a way that is like, and that's what's so interesting about this movie is like, what's her name from, she's great. She's the lead in Upstream Color. She was in You're Next. She plays,
I like
Ty
that
West's
girl.
girlfriend in You're Next. She directed an episode of Atlanta. She's just a really brilliant person, a really great filmmaker and director, and also really great in Upstream Color. I'm going totally blank on her name.
I'm getting it.
We talked about a lot of stuff today. So Amy
Seimetz.
Yeah.
Amy Seimetz.
Yeah, it's just like it's. I feel like this film just understands how psychologically what happens when something, you know, when somebody is violated or when they're grieving, and I feel like it. I don't know. It operates on another level in that regard, in the way that Paul Thomas Anderson's films do. And it's a great example of visual storytelling rather than describing to you what's happening. And then there's this whole thing with pigs. It's such a bizarre film, but I love it, and I think it's incredible. And I like it also for its scrappiness. It was made for like
9 years later, actually.
It was made for like $1 million or less than that. I think it was like it's like $100,000 or something. I don't even think it was like $1 million. I forget what the budget was, but it was not a lot. Primer was made for like 10 grand.
Yeah.
This was made for like 100 or maybe under $1 million. Like 900,000 or something like that. It was in the Raid Redemption territory, and it looks amazing, and it just the scores. I just think that movie is a technical masterpiece, and it's just one of those movies. I was like, I can't believe a movie can be like, I could never make a movie this good. It was one of those things where I was just like, I can't believe this is that good. But yeah, that's
he composed the score. Shane Carruth did the score.
I think he partnered with somebody else from Dallas. Actually, I have a friend of mine that worked with the sound.
Composer. It says he's a composer.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, my number 2 film.
What is it?
Hereditary.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, I love Hereditary.
You looked surprised when I listed it at 6. Is it
Yeah.
because of how low it is on the list,
No,
or
because how much you loved it and talked
Yeah.
about
No,
it.
I mean,
I
that's
thought it was
fair.
going to go further up the list, but yeah, I loved
that
it.
movie came out last year?
Yeah.
So for it to be on a top 10, even in general, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a movie I've seen 20 times, but you know, I've also seen
It's
Blue
just-
Valentine, Upstream Color, and you know, I've seen all
It's
these
just,
movies.
it was just so original.
Yeah,
And like I said, the making horror film about loss and the dealing of loss.
Sure.
And like I said, I haven't seen a film that made me have my mouth open.
yeah, that's fair.
In-
That's
in a
genuinely
long
the
time.
reaction I had.
Yeah, I mean, Midsommar was like that, but Hereditary was on like literally for a half hour of the film.
Sure.
I'm still thinking,
Yeah.
oh, this is a dream. This is not happening.
Yeah, no,
Never
totally.
seen anything like it. So I loved
The
Hereditary.
performances are incredible. Tony
And-
Collette's,
Tony
just,
Collette's unbelievable.
Robbed of a fucking
Yes.
Oscar.
Yeah,
I don't even
serious.
think she got nominated.
She wasn't.
Ugh,
She
ugh.
wasn't, yeah.
It just leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
What's your number 2, bro?
Inception and Interstellar. I just, you know,
Inception, great film.
that's a movie I watch once a year, and it blows me away every time. Every time. The visuals hold up. It looks incredible.
Yeah.
Wally Pfister, I think, shot the. I think he's the one that shot it. That was back when he was still shooting all the Nolan stuff, and then decided he wanted to be a director. But yeah, yeah. I mean, in Inception and Interstellar, just fucking technical masterpieces with amazing performances. It's popcorn. It's like popcorn budget or popcorn film meets art house.
Art house, yeah,
and
definite.
you know, and sure, it's elevated and kind of silly in the way that like Hollywood studio action films are, but it's. I just feel like there's something deeper to it, and yeah, Inception's outstanding. It's a masterpiece, but not
Oh,
as
that was
much.
your 2, yeah. My number 1, which is not yours, which I'll surprise yours, but The Joker.
No, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you watch any movies before this year? Is really my biggest question. All your movies are for the past like 2 years.
No. Well, I had Inception. I had La La Land. I had Gone Girl. I went through the
La La
years.
Land was 2
I'm
years
just
ago.
saying that. Well, I also had Gone Girl. I also had Heath
That was
Ledger.
like
I had
3 years ago.
Inception.
Yeah, I mean,
They're all 2010. Just there's some years like 2011. I was like, I mean, all right, nothing to.
I almost tried to do like a best of each year, but that
I was
going to
do that, but then I was like,
challenging.
we would be here for 6 days.
Yeah, it would be really hard.
But I
just
did.
just
I
building that
thought
list.
Joker was dark, gritty, well acted, well done.
Yeah.
You know my love for the '70s New York film, and it was that. It was like an homage to you know Taxi Driver and even King of Comedy, which is one of my favorite dark comedies.
And it's a perfect, like for 2019, I feel like it's a perfect movie to cap off a year of superhero movie or a decade of superhero movies. You know, ultimately,
because if you look at my list, out of my list, that was the one that I most relate to.
Yeah.
You know, that in terms of my favorite.
You want to
film.
murder people on television.
You know what I mean?
understand
I
that.
mean, my love for film and my love for film stems from the
for sure.
'70s and Martin Scorsese's early work. You know, so I mean, you know,
that's
I
fair.
enjoy the Joker. Yeah,
Can't argue with that. I mean, Joker's great, and it could certainly deserve a spot on my list. I
already know
need to
your
give
number
it some
one.
time.
What's your number 1, bro?
You already know my number 1. What do you think my number 1 is?
What's this movie? The Favorite. No, okay. Go ahead. What's
Do you
your
not know what it is?
No, I don't.
Oh, you totally know what it is. It's The Master
Master?
by Paul Thomas Anderson.
I hate it because I was
talk
like,
about
I was
every
like,
show.
let me see what Paul Thomas Anderson. He didn't do nothing in 2010.
Well,
Shit,
my
man.
my number 1 pick is both that and Phantom Thread, technically.
I thought that would be on the list.
And that's another movie that's just like delightfully romantic and
So
also
wait, so
just
which one? The Master?
both of them.
So
The
both,
Master
both.
is probably my. I think The Master is his masterpiece. I mean, even though Boogie Nights is outstanding too, and so is There Will Be Blood, and so is every movie he's ever
Magnolia.
done.
I
Because
love
Magnolia is great. We almost watched that the other night. Yeah, Paul Thomas Anderson's my favorite filmmaker. I've said that a million times, and I mean, I would love to make movies like that guy does, and visually
I agree
and
with
just
that.
and just for I just really love the pairing of like Johnny Greenwood's music and or score and just I don't know. The Master is one of those movies though with performances by Joaquin Phoenix and the unfortunately the late Philip Seymour Hoffman. Is that how you say that?
Yeah, the late. Yeah. How would you
and
say
I just think that's one of the. I think that pairing is two of the best performances in a film of all time. I mean, I think it's that good.
Yeah.
I think the physicality of Joaquin's performance and again just the powerful performance from Philip Seymour Hoffman. I just think he's I don't know.
He's a great actor,
I love that film, and it moves me every time I see it. And I find something new that I love about it. And that's a movie that I think is not only the best, but it's a movie that I revisit again twice a year usually. And it like from a technical perspective, it holds up in every sense.
Yeah.
It's timeless and beautiful. And again, I don't know. I love The Master, and I love Phantom Thread for the same reason. It's just, he's a filmmaker that's like operating on another level, and just, I don't know. The Master though it's a movie that I find something more in every time I see it. So
that's good. Oh.
Well, we're at 2 hours and 21 minutes. So
Has it been that long? Yeah, I know. It's sort of like almost. I had to be somewhere at noon, but I guess I'm going to be there late now. It's all right. But I like talking about film. I enjoy film.
Well, we just talked about a lot of film, and that caps a pretty incredible decade of movies. So
yeah. Like, so what do you plan on watching next year in 2020, bro?
I don't even know what's coming out next year. So to be fair.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's coming out this week. I don't pay attention to when things come out, honestly.
Well, Star Wars comes out next week.
I am excited for Star Wars on a purely cinematic level.
Yeah,
like,
me
it's
too.
Just, I'm looking forward to that.
I love the Emperor, so I'm looking forward
I
to
hate that was spoiled in the fucking trailer.
Yeah,
though. Like,
that
imagine if you went and saw the movie without knowing that. It would be so much
like
better.
Hereditary. I'd have been like, what?
God, I don't even care. Like, it's like I don't. That's frustrating for sure, because you just don't need that in the trailer. Like, you don't need that. We talked about that for like an hour though when that came out. But anyway, yeah, I mean, there's some 1917 looks fucking great.
1917 is another movie I want to see so bad.
There's a folk horror movie coming out, like the Gretel movie or whatever, Hansel and Gretel. It looks interesting. I haven't
heard of it. I'll look into it. Black Widow. There's a lot of genre films coming out next year. Yeah,
there's a lot of good movies, a lot of big movies, but. Yeah. I look forward to the next Yorgos film and the next Paul Thomas Anderson film and the next Christopher Nolan film, which we actually may get next year, I think.
Which one?
I don't know. I mean, I think he's doing. I think he's slated to do something next year. I'm not sure, but I'd have to look all this stuff up before I could be certain. But let's get out of here, though.
Let's go. Yeah, but anyway, listen, guys, that was our top of the decade, top 10 films, and our recent movie venturing. We will catch you in January. We're going to do our predictions of what's going to be on the best pictures and for the Oscars.
We'll talk about whatever else we see.
And then everything else. So until next time, I'm Carlos Fernandez.
I'm Jeremy Knight.
And we'll see you on the next one. Take care.